Yes. Mr. Raphael Dawkins with the Combat Radio. And are we live yet? I'm waiting for the ping. I'm waiting for the ping to let me know that we are live. It's not forthcoming. OMG. Okay. In the meantime, let me fix my screen. As a matter of fact, rat-tat-tat-tat. Let's get the screen right. Let's get the screen right. Oh. Okay. Boom. Oh, and we are live. Okay. Let's talk about the big drama show. Okay, let's have a look. Let's have a look in the chat. Let's have a look in the chat. Ping pong. We are live. Excellente. And so the Wilder fans now feel like the AJ fans. How the tables have turned. Oh, how the tables have turned. The terrible twists of fate. The twists and turns of this game called boxing. Okay. First things first, let me do the sound check. Let me make sure that you can hear me loud and clear. Okay. Let's cut the music and go into this. Let's go. Make sure that you can hear me loud and clear. Okay. Let's cut the music and go into this. Let's go. Yes. Sound check complete. Sound check complete. Okay. So what else have I got to do? What else do I got to do? Oh, okay. First things first, let me share this. Let me share this to a couple of WhatsApp groups. Uh-oh, where is it? Where is it? There it is. Let's drop the volume and share, because sharing is caring. That's this how you're gonna do this. Yeah, boom. Share that now. We are live. We are live. Okay, how does that look? How does that look? We are live. Okay, it's good there. And it's good there. Okay, it's all good. Okay, let's get into this thing. Let's get into the chat, see what's going on. Oh gosh. While the fans now claiming Fury is inhuman. He's inhuman. He's a different species. He's a different kind of character. We just need Wallin to spoil his way to a split decision and the tables are thrown across the room. Oh no. I haven't seen the video, but I've heard about the video. Yeah, I heard about that nonsense. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about so many angles. There's so many angles because apparently Wilder broke a metacarpal, one of the bones in the hand. Allegedly, I think there's some X-ray or something. I not long got in from work, so I don't know what shenanigans have been going on today. All the fans calling Fury alien now. OMG. Yeah, because you have to be superhuman. Allegedly, you have to be superhuman to beat Deontay Wilder. Allegedly. I'm not buying it at all. What's going on here? Why is it the other way around? Let me switch it. Let me switch it up. Okay. Look a little better like that. Look a little better like that. Okay, so hello and welcome to the Raphael Dawkins Combat Radio channel. Glad that you could join me today, this evening, this morning, this afternoon, wherever you may be. But of course, we're going to be talking about the big drama show that happened on the weekend. The big drama show that happened on the weekend. Doesn't really matter. Broken finger or hand off, knuckle or whatever. Fury wasn't going to lose. 100. If Wilder is injuring his hands more, it might be the end of the road. Well, let's talk about that. Because, okay, so many places we can enter, but let's talk about the hand injury first. The hand injury came about, I believe, as a result of the fact that the glove inspection, Deontay Wilder apparently wasn't happy, or his representatives weren't happy about the horsehair gloves that Tyson Fury was going to wear and did wear, and their means of their coping mechanism for that, their coping mechanism for that. Indeed I do. Hey, it's all good. You know what I'm saying? If they show, it's cool. So their coping mechanism for that was that they wore the MX gloves. What is it? So some MX gloves. The gloves also with horsehair. Now, interestingly, the last time Deontay Wilder wore these gloves, guess what happened? He broke his hand. That's why he stopped wearing them. Or he broke a finger or whatever. He broke a bone in his hand. That's why he stopped wearing them. So now Tyson Fury is wearing horsehair gloves. So Deontay Wilder decides he's going to wear horsehair gloves too. And what happens? He breaks a finger in his hand. What kind of mad mental decision was that? Last time he wore the Everlast MX, which is the Everlast horsehair glove, he broke his hand, so he stopped wearing them. And Tyson Fury is wearing horsehair gloves, so he decided he's going to wear horsehair gloves too. So what the hell? What the hell kind of logic is that? Yeah, Fury was wearing the papine gloves, you know, the horsehair too. You know, that's got the horsehair. So because Fury's wearing horsehair, Deontay Wilder decides he's going to wear horsehair. When the last time he wore horsehair, he broke his damn hand. What the hell kind of logic is that? What kind of logic is that? It's totally bizarre. It's totally outrageous. But anyway, what am I going to do? I know exactly what I'm going to do. Let's bring up. What is it again? Yep. Bring that up. Let's pull that up. Boom. Boom. Damn. Minus the volume. Yeah, let's not have volume. Let's have a look at this. Okay. All right. Okay. That's what I like. Hold on. Can I manipulate this thing or can I not? If I can't, then that's unfortunate. We can still work with it. Okay. Let's get into this. Let's stop sharing that. And start sharing this. How does it look on the screen? Okay, that's good. Okay, so He keeps trolling. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Very silly move. Very silly move. When you know your hands are brittle. Okay, so let's get into this and let's talk about this. Okay, so we're talking about the fight over the weekend. It was a great spectacle. It was a great spectacle. It was a slobber knocker. It's what I call a slobber knocker. Let's move this shizzle along. It was a hell of a slobber knocker. Tyson Fury. You know him. Deontay Wilder and I randomly, let me pull this up. Uh-oh. Other way around. Let me pull that up. Okay, so I randomly clicked on a picture, and this is what we get from this sums up how I felt watching Deontay Wilder pre-fight, before the first ring of the bell to start the fight. This is the sense that I got from Deontay Wilder. It was not one of ebullience. So I went back and I watched the start of multiple different Deontay Wilder fights. And I found that, oftentimes he had a kind of somber air. He had a somber air about him. So it was not peculiar to this particular fight. I went back and looked and noted a somber air. Let's move it along. Oh, don't want to play. Okay, doesn't look so somber there. You don't look so somber there. Don't look so somber, but we're going to move on. Don't worry. Malik was too inexperienced to work in a corner for a fight of this magnitude. And it was a big one, wasn't it? It was a big one. Wait. Okay, that's an interesting name. Let's take care of that immediately. Boom. Okay, that's good. Right. So where we at now? Okay. Full Scott did well in the corner and improving Wilder. We did see some improvements from Wilder. We're going to talk about that in a second. In my opinion, Malik didn't do squat, didn't do diddly. Wilder did nothing different. If so, tell me what it was. Okay, I was just reading a different thing. Okay, so he came out. Wilder came out initially going to the body, so that's what he did different. That lasted for most of the first round, and then he kind of drifted off. Coming out, going heavy to the body. It was a kind of a good plan. It was a kind of a good idea, but the problem with that was that Deontay was going too heavy to the body. It was too much. He was putting too much power in it. It was as if he was trying to do knockout blows. He was trying to do knockout blows to the body. He was putting the same intensity. Don't get me wrong. Tyson will be battered and bruised around the midriff, around the saddlebags. He's going to be battered and bruised. There's no doubt about it. No two ways about it. But unfortunately or fortunately, it was unsustainable. You saw that first round. You saw the intensity in them body shots, and you just knew. You said, this is not sustainable. This is not sustainable, but you know, he had to do something. He had to do something. Yeah. Wilder won the first 2 rounds on my scorecard. So that was a little bit different. Wilder did nothing different. He was still wide open, and the punches were still telegraphed, and his footwork was still horrendous. Well, yeah, it's a little bit of both, isn't it? Because he did try to employ the body attack. He did employ a body attack, even though it was doomed to failure because he was just too stiff. Wilder was just too stiff. He was putting all that energy into the body attack, and it was simply unsustainable. It was just unsustainable. He couldn't sustain that shiznix. Okay, so I'm trying to find a spot where, there you go, he's lunging in for the body attack right there. Let's have a look. His footwork was horrendous, yes. His shots were terribly telegraphed. I remember because I've had this fight playing in the background a couple of times, and there was a sequence where, I'll find it, not tonight, but I'll find it. There was a sequence where Fury was standing in front of Wilder. Wilder had him kind of rocked, and Fury was standing in front of him, and Deontay Wilder must have thrown like 10 hooks. 10 hooks to the Fury, who was standing right in front of him, and maybe 3 landed. So it's like, wow. You just have to say, wow. It's crazy. You know what? I didn't even want to start this way. I wanted to start by giving them their flowers. Probably he was wearing horsehair gloves. Yeah, he definitely was wearing the MX. Or is it the MX gloves? MX gloves. I just brought it up earlier. Yeah, Everlast MX. Yeah, Everlast MX. Those are the gloves he was wearing. But you know what? I want to start off by giving both of these guys their flowers. That's the way I want to start off. That's the way I'm going to start off. I'm going to start off by giving both of these guys their flowers, and then we can go into a deeper analysis. Okay, so let's try and find somebody hitting each other, for goodness sakes. All right, there we go. All right, that's better. Okay, so credit due. Let me give Deontay Wilder his flowers first. Let me give Deontay Wilder his flowers first. Okay, Deontay Wilder. Let's give him his compliments. Let's give him his compliment. As a matter of fact, rat-tat-tat-tat. Good timing. Good timing. Dang. Okay. We got the EJ Boxing and the Big Boys Boxing. Okay, EJ Boxing Live. Talk to me. How do you do? Damn, EJ ain't ready. Big Boys Boxing.
I'm ready. Sorry, I just saw her as a mute. My bad. Sorry, I just saw her as a mute. No, listen. Yeah, shout out to Big Boys Boxing as well, and Raphael Dawkins, yeah. No, I was saying to the day, I was that punch that he's working on, that leaping, that's what Lennox Lewis did to knock out Hassan Rahman. So how Lennox did, right? He reversed it. So what Lennox did, he threw a straight right, and he blinded Hassan Rahman, who had a high guard, and he came behind it with a left hook. That's how he knocked him out. What Tyson Fury did, he leaped in with the left hook. Wilder blocked it, as you can see. He's trying to block it, but because his other hand, you can see it's down where he's been, the straight right came down the pipe, so you can either use it both ways. And that's a classic crump knockout. You know, Tommy Hearns used to use that, and Manuel Stewart. And this is why I said Tyson Fury is so dangerous now. Between the two of them, their IQ is phenomenal. Like literally, because what they had, and this is what people need, is in-ring adjustments, the way they could adjust it. See, Fury was boxing with Wilder, then he saw Wilder was getting the better of him with the right hand. He said, okay, let's go to plan 2. Let's go and maul him. And Wilder had no answer. Go, okay, that's working. Stick to that. Maul him, and then jab him, and you can see, and he set him up with that left hook right here and a straight right down the pipe. And Wilder had no answers for it. No, and he also didn't let Wilder recover. That's what I said. He's the all rounder. He's a very all round complete fighter. Very hard to beat. So I'm glad Amir had trouble with him. And if AJ was to fight him, had trouble as well, because he'll use whatever he needs to be effective and to win. And he doesn't care. He's quite crazy. I mean, taking a shot from Wilder, and a real hard shot to put him down, to get off the canvas, to come back. It shows what he's made of. And right now, he's the number one heavyweight. And with the IQ he has, like I said, with Sugar Hill, it's going to be very hard for one person to beat them.
Okay, so in comes, going to come back to you in a second, DJ. In comes Big Boys Boxing.
How you doing, fellas?
Real good, man. Real good. So Big Boys, can you? We want to give Wilder his flowers. Can you give a complimentary assessment of Deontay Wilder's performance?
Well, to a degree. Those first 6 rounds, I could see some improvement with him not trying to be so back foot minded all the time. He was going to the body, as you said earlier, but I also think he was going too hard to the body. He only needed to touch him down there so it set something up upstairs.
Yeah.
But, there were, I don't know, mild improvements. Okay, I'll put it mild improvements. Yeah. And, he came to fight this time. It wasn't like last time. He just got steamrolled and couldn't do anything about it. But like EJ was saying, Tyson is adaptable. He can do just about anything in the ring. And once Deontay's plan started failing and he got hurt, was it in the 3rd round?
Yeah.
The body shots disappeared completely and he reverted to type. So I still got to give the dude props though, man, because he came to fight and gave us an absolute entertainment feast. In that fight. So
absolutely.
I'm not going to dog the man too much. I don't like it when, because he's lost, people are saying he's useless, he's doing the exact same thing. I mean, come on, give the man a little bit of credit, for God's sake.
A little bit, definitely. Give him a little bit of credit. That's what I'm trying to do. That's what we're trying to do. Okay. The Fight Doctor.
Fight Doctor's in the house on Rick James status, as always. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, Fight Doctor. Good evening. Can you give a complimentary assessment of? We're trying to give him the flowers first. We're going to go into a critical assessment later, but first, I want to give both of them their flowers. Can you give me a complimentary assessment of Deontay Wilder's performance?
I think he surpassed expectations. Listen, he was actually at one point in the fight, he was actually up on the scorecards.
Yeah.
He put Fury down twice. That first knockdown, when they showed it in slow motion, you could see the energy as it moved through Fury's body.
Yeah.
As it transferred from Wilder's fist to his face, and it moved his neck, his torso down. You can see the energy as it moved throughout Fury's body. And I'm amazed that he got up. Okay? I mean, listen, any other heavyweight in the world would have been out cold. Period.
From which one? From which shot? From
that right hand, that super straight monster right hand that Wilder landed on Fury. I think it was the 4th round.
Yeah, first knockdown.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other heavyweight in the world would have been good night, Irene. Okay? Nobody would have taken that punch and lived to tell the tale. Sorry, but no. So, but yeah, Wilder, I mean, he looked to have a game plan. I mean, he did some things right that I thought were right. And the best thing I can say about him is that he surpassed expectations. And for a minute, he looked like he was actually going to win the fight.
What'd you say?
for a minute, he looked like he was going to win the fight.
Yep, for a few seconds, I did think he was going to win the fight, shockingly, unbelievably. EJ Boxing, can you give me a complimentary assessment of Deontay Wilder's performance?
Yeah, absolutely. Tyson Fury said it the best. He broke his ankle when he fell down. he said he might have to go hospital check his ankle. Wilder hit him that hard that the vibrations travel through his body down to his ankle, and that's why he was sitting there thinking. Because I was thinking it wasn't the punch; it was like Fury was thinking, "But is my ankle broken?" That's why he took his time to get out. Wilder hit lightning. I remember someone said that before. I think Kevin Kelly said, he goes, "I'm going to smoke your boots" to Nassim Hamid. And Hamid was like, "What do you mean by that?" And when Hamid got hit by Kevin Kelly's punches, he felt like his feet were on fire. And that's what Wilder did. Wilder, the vibrations went down to Fury. And he's a big man, a 6'9" guy to hit the deck. It's not like me and you, like hitting the deck. That's a big, and he went down hard.
It's a big
lump. And then what Fight Doctor said, he was just that close of finishing him. Wilder is a lethal dose of poison that listen, if you haven't got the antidote, you're banging trouble, man. And he's not the type of guy that you want to go in there and fight, knowing that you're going to get that. He's derailed Ortiz's career. Pekin made sure he took drugs to get himself out of it. Andy Joshua, that situation didn't happen. But Wilder is a very, very dangerous guy. I just saw a note from JD. He said Deontay Wilder is very well. He's healthy. He gave it every blood drop of tears and everything to the fight. And they're gonna heal up and see what else is out there. But I think on both counts, I think boxing is the winner. But the credit is to Wilder. Is this man? He talked all that excuses and stuff like that. But the bottom line is that this man came and bring it. He wasn't about the talking. He was really going for it. He wasn't coming in to shy. It's just that you're going against a guy who's just more complete than you and had various game plans. So Wilder is very good. Malik done an excellent job, but you can do it for a while. I saw Malik's interview. He said, Wilder's gonna get better and stuff like that. And with working with Malik and stuff like that. And he said he's gonna look after Wilder. They have a good relationship. But to me, I look at a lot of people are going to be they're blood sucking off Wilder, but Wilder, let me tell you something. People were saying that's why Mark Brady should have been in the corner to save him, but you don't want to be saved. That's the way he wants to live his life, and I ain't gonna lie to you. Wilder is a credit to himself. He's a man who believes what he says. He's a man with conviction. What he says, he believes, whether we believe it or not. And I look forward to seeing him if he retires. I won't mind hearing from him. And if he was to retire on this fight alone. Boy, listen, what a fight to finish your career with and say, you tried, you was a champion, and these spots are there. You need to go back in there. I've heard he's financially secure in terms of having money. So Wilder's he's a credit to the sport. He really is. So that's
a credit to the sport. Okay. Yeah. Complimentary words, John D. Lee. Up in the building. I want some complimentary words for Deontay Wilder, because what my question is, can you give me some complimentary
like
that you saw in the fight?
I've got quite a few.
Okay.
So first and foremost, compared to the second fight,
John, have you got
closer to your mic?
Have you got a different setting? You sound a bit distant.
1 minute.
Okay.
Is that any better?
Carry on then. Carry on.
Yeah, okay. So compared to the middle fight, the second fight, I think he performed a lot better. He lasted a lot longer. He put Fury down twice, which he wasn't able to do in the last fight they had. So overall, he performed a lot better. And like the guys have said, like that was a long count that Fury had on the second knockdown, I think it was.
Seemed long.
Like long counts have happened before. I'm not going to say that he should have won because it was a long count, but Fury's been a bit lucky with these counts twice now. In the first fight, a lot of refs would have counted him out in that first fight. In the UK, their first fight, Fury gets stopped, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And probably that fight there, if that had happened in the UK, that could well have been a stoppage as well.
Yeah.
I've seen people stop for less.
Definitely.
So he did a lot better than in the last fight. And as for bravery, no one can question his bravery. Wilder's a very, very brave man, because when he was in a very bad way, he tried to carry on fighting right up until he got completely stopped. So he wanted to go out on his shield, and that's exactly what he did. So I'm not going to knock him for any of that.
No.
So yeah, I think that's quite a lot of complimentary stuff to say.
That's a lot of compliments. That's a lot of compliments. You guys helped me out a lot with that one. Okay, so my turn. He went to the body, he changed up his tactics a little bit, not for long, but he did change up his tactics a little bit. He went to the body. He went to the body, didn't last long, and then he reverted to type. You see, it's hard for me. It's hard. You guys are better than me, because the only thing I can really think of is the fact that he went for the. He went for the body. A and B. He stuck in there. He hung on in there. He did a very good job of hanging in there. He dropped Fury twice in one round. The first time ever Fury's been dropped twice in one round. And if I recall correctly, that was against the run of play. So he does pack a heavy hit, but I've got to say, Fury got up. You know what I'm saying? So the dynamite in the hands, it didn't put Fury out. Some people are saying that's because Fury's got an iron jaw. I think otherwise. I think that Deontay Wilder, the guys he knocked out, they were lower caliber. And we've talked about this before on the show. You really know your punch power when you're up against the top guys. That's when you know what kind of punch power a person is packing, when you're up against the top guys. The also-rans, not so much. So my compliments are, he changed up his tactics, even if it was just for a little while, and he's got a lot of testicular fortitude. He's got stickability. So that's two compliments. But, you know, I have to be honest, and I have to go in now. I don't think Deontay Wilder had much of a choice. After all the talk, after all the big talking, he had to back it up with something. And he couldn't back it up with exemplary skill. He's not an exemplary skilled boxer. In fact, his boxing, feel free to contradict me, I'm going to go around the table. His boxing is very poor. He does have heavy hands when he connects, but when you press him, when he's being pressed, he is exceptionally inefficient with his punches and his energy. The man was out of energy he was struggling. He was on fumes by the fourth round. EJ Boxing, feel free to contradict.
What was the question? What's the question?
We talk. I'm saying that I'm questioning Deontay Wilder's boxing skill. His boxing to me was terrible. He has heavy hands, but he is inefficient. His delivery when he's being pressed. When you're standing back, he'll pick you off all night long. But when you press him, his punches are highly inefficient. He's inefficient with his energy.
He's not trying to box anyone, and that's what Mark Brilliant's problem was. He was getting to the point where he was so cocky and arrogant that he doesn't need trying to box. So yeah, he loses rounds. He lost rounds against Ortiz. He lost girls against Spiltcar. So he's not trying. So your question is like, yeah, you're right. He because of his lack of respect of the game. That's consequently this picture here. That's what you get. Fury, better boxer, all rounder. And what Wilder's looking for is what he does. is the right hand, and that's the one he put Fury down. So everything you said is right on point. But Wilder ain't trying to rely on all that other stuff. He said, I don't need to do all that shit. I'm just gonna land my right hand and we're gonna see what's popping. So and with that, that's gonna make me millions of dollars. All them people didn't come out to see no boxing or to see no Guillermo Regendow or to see no Lomachenko shit. You want to go watch them. You want to see he's waiting to let you get confident in what you're doing so he can strike like a cobra and then bang and just put you on your back. The problem is you go against a guy who knows you're going to do that and was willing to get up and fight you back. That was the problem. A bully, even if ineffective, you want to hear. So your answer, yeah, everything you said is correct, but that's not what he's about. He's about trying to trap you into making you feel that you're doing well and you'll put your pocket in the rounds. And then remember again, this is the heavyweight division. And the heavyweight division is unlike no other division ever. You could be winning on points, doing well in the sport, and that's what Fury was doing. And all of a sudden, you get put on your back, and that's what Wilder's about. He's one of the most exciting fighters in the sport. And the heavyweight division, people will pay not to see him box, not to see if he's got a good jab, not to see his boxing ability, to see if he can land the right hand, and that's his marketability, and that's why we like Wilder. I guess that's why we want to see him if he can land it, because when he does land it, most of the time he knocks you out. But he was going against another guy who just wanted it a bit more. And that was Tyson Fury.
And that was Tyson Fury. Was this a great fight?
Is that to me?
Boxing.
Was that a great? It was entertaining. Is it? The thing is, was it a great fight? Yeah, I guess it was a great fight in this age. Yeah, in this age in the heavyweight division. I haven't seen nothing. You haven't seen nothing like the last fight I remember heavyweight was that exciting was Lennox Lewis versus Vitaly Klitschko in terms of excitement. That was like the last. Actually, maybe Anthony Joshua versus Vladimir. That was another one. Yeah, to be fair, that was they were.
I'm just feeling around. I'm just feeling around for the right question. I'm feeling around for the right question.
It was a great fight. It was a great fight. For all of it, there's a lot of things came out of that. Wilder showed that his conviction, and Fury shows that he's destined for the Hall of Fame. We're looking at one of the great heavyweights if he continues to do what he's doing. That's what we're looking at.
I'm trying to feel around for the right question. I'm going to Big Boys Boxing now. I think I found the right question for the whole panel. People are talking about, we're going to do it reverse for Tyson Fury. We're going to go to the criticism first and then the compliments. People are talking about Tyson Fury was sloppy. Big Boys Boxing.
Oh yeah, he was sloppy, all right. But he was using his big man style in this fight. He wasn't trying to box on the back foot. He was trying to maul and monster Deontay Wilder, take away the space, because we all know Deontay Wilder's punch is very, very damaging, particularly if you're at the end of his punch, if you're at the end of his range. So Fury's either trying to work the jab from the outside, just outside of Wilder's range, or he's going to try and get in the pocket where Wilder's power isn't so dangerous. And it was effective. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look very nice at all to watch. It's messy as hell, but dude did what he had to win. So he did exactly what he needed to do to win. Yeah. And it was hard. I mean, he got put down twice. He made a couple of mistakes and got caught with those counters and paid the price. So all in all, I thought it was a great fight. Not a display of boxing skill, but it showed that Tyson's got those tools in his box. We've seen him in the past. He can box from the outside as well. He's got a good inside game. So, it was just I thoroughly enjoyed the fight.
Thoroughly enjoyed the fight. So, Big Boys Boxing, a fight doesn't have to be technically superb for it to be a great, exciting occasion.
Hell no. If both fighters are going down, it's competitive. You don't know who's going to win throughout the whole fight. Well, until the later parts of the fight. That's hella entertainment, man. That's hella.
Yeah. The fight doctor. I call this fight a slobber knocker. Are you familiar with the term?
I'm not all that familiar with the vernacular used by our friends across the pond. So,
well, actually, when I googled it, it said it came from American football. Slobber knocker as an exciting, violent, exuberant clash. So I call this fight a slobber knocker.
It was that and then some.
Okay.
And a bag of chips.
And a bag of chips. So Tyson Fury was sloppy. True or false?
He looked sloppy in terms of his physical appearance, yes. But was he sloppy? I would say Wilder was more sloppy.
We're not talking about who was more sloppy. We know Wilder was sloppy. He's always sloppy. We're talking about Tyson Fury.
But listen, when you are 6'9" and 280 pounds, you will never be confused for Pernell Whitaker. So I wasn't expecting a guy to be on his toes and dancing around the ring looking like Muhammad Ali. So no, that's not Tyson Fury. Okay, he's too big. That's not what he does. So in that sense, yes, he was sloppy. Now,
I think I'm more referring to the time out of the ring, the interrupted training. His training got interrupted.
No, I wouldn't agree that he was sloppy. If you want to say that he had ring rust, then maybe I would be inclined to agree.
Yeah.
But to say that he was sloppy, no. I mean,
okay, that's cool.
Listen, things have to be considered within the context, or things have to be put in their proper perspective. And you had Tyson Fury had a guy in front of him who was determined at all costs to get the W. So, listen, Tyson Fury fights ugly. I mean, he reminds me in a way of Bernard Hopkins. Bernard Hopkins was never a pretty fighter to look at, but he was highly, highly effective in the things that he do. The little subtle things like hitting and holding, the way that he would break the rules, but do so where like he would hit a guy low when the ref's back was turned, or whatever he would do. It was ugly. Maybe it was sloppy, but it was highly effective, and it worked for him. And I think that's what we see in Tyson Fury. A lot of the things that he does, they're not pretty, right? But they're highly effective. And
okay, good stuff. John D. Lee has allegations that Fury was sloppy.
Yes, he was. I think the other thing as well, whilst I've given credit to Wilder for doing better in this fight than the previous one, I think Tyson Fury did worse.
Okay.
I think part of it, you got to give some of the credit of that to Wilder, but he was smothering his own work when he had Wilder hurt. He had Wilder hurt a lot of the time, and then he did not give himself room to take advantage of that. And once you're inside Wilder, you've still got space to take a half a step back so that you don't smother your own punches. And he could have potentially got Wilder out sooner if he'd have tried to just take a step back and clock him while he had him hurt, rather than just leaning on him all the time. There's a few other things I want to talk about because you touched on them earlier when you were talking to BJ. Classic fight of all time, some of the things that I've heard here. I mean, is this really better than Ron Lau, George Foreman as a fight? Like, really?
Well, that's why I say it's a slobber knocker. Let me just cut in for a second. That's why I call it a slobber knocker, because I wanted to kind of understand where this fights fit in the pantheon of history of heavyweight fights or heavyweight
but the
fights.
problem we've got, Rafi, this is a real problem that people are just ignoring, right? Since 2016, Fury's fought one top heavyweight 3 times. And arguably, Wilder's only fought one top heavyweight in his career 3 times, because people have got to try and explain to me what Luis Ortiz has ever done. Knocking out Brian Jennings does not make you this tremendous boxer. Being a B-string amateur cruiserweight in Cuba. When I say amateur cruiserweight, I'm talking about heavyweight. Amateur is 200-pound limit, or 91 kg, or wherever they want to sit it. He wasn't even the first choice for the Cuban team. He's not an Olympian. We cannot gauge Wilder's power. We can't gauge their ability because they haven't fought anybody else. and like fighting once every 2 years, and then fighting a couple of stiffs in between. I mean, let's look at it. Francis Pianetta, Cephas Fury, Wilder, Tom Schwartz, Otto Wallin, Wilder, 18 months off, Wilder. This is not a Hall of Fame run. Go and look at people's resumes from the 70s. Go and look at how often they were fighting and who they were fighting. And we've had John Fury come out today and say, oh, it's Usyk or nobody. Could you imagine Muhammad Ali saying, he's not going to fight somebody? And look at the list of names, and we're trying to compare this to that. People are so desperate to try and have another great heavyweight. Well, at the moment, we might not have one. Everybody needs to fight everybody, and someone's got to come out as the last man standing. And it might be Usyk. It could be Dillian White at this point. We've got no idea who the number one heavyweight is.
We don't know. We just
don't know. Definitely does not prove it.
Oh, absolutely not. Okay, so you brought it up. Okay, let's get into it. What this was, I'll have my turn now. What this was a incredible slobber knocker. It was a violent clash. It was highly entertaining. But what it wasn't was a technical display for the ages. It was, let's put it in its proper place, it was one hell of a slobber knocker. It was a slobber knocker for the ages, but it weren't no technical masterpiece for the ages. This will go down in history as a fantastic slobber knocker. Now you see the problem we have here is that Deontay Wilder, history will recall Deontay Wilder as a protected, this is my opinion, folks. Oh, I don't want anybody to get offended. But Deontay Wilder will go down in history as, so far, as a protected champion. We've had them in the past, and Deontay Wilder is one right now, a protected champion. His career, this is my opinion. Everybody's going to get a chance to respond and rebut, and you can rebut in the chat also. He was carefully guided. He was a guy with a talent, which was a heavy hand, and he was carefully guided and navigated around the heavy hitters. And only in the 11th hour, what I consider to be the 11th hour of his career, if not the 12th, only in the 11th hour did he step up against guys like Luis Ortiz. Well, against Luis Ortiz. That's when he stepped up. And against Tyson Fury. Only in the 11th hour of his career did he step up. Deontay Wilder has been a protected fighter. So one guy in this duo has been a heavily protected fighter, and history is going to recall that. And I don't think history is going to be kind to Deontay Wilder as far as the people that he fought goes. Who's here? Anybody dropped off? No. Big Boys Boxing.
Yeah, I'd definitely agree to an extent, but at the same time, I don't know if protected is the quite the right word, because apparently he's his own boss, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's not really protecting himself. He's being a little more ignorant, or I don't know the right word for it. Evasive.
Yeah.
You know? But why he did what he did since becoming a champion, it baffles me. You know, he turned down a lot of fights that were really good money against top opponents, but in the end, he ended up trying to take a fight that he thought would be easy with Fury coming off the couch. It turned into a real handful for him, and he got beat up really badly twice. Earned a lot of money. Broke his hand again, possibly. Is it going to be retirement? It just may be. But like you were saying yesterday on the stream we were on, Rafi, I think it's going to be at least a year before Deontay Wilder comes back, if at all.
Yeah.
So he's going to need some time to recover, that's for sure. But definitely protected in those early days and brought along, probably due to his lack of experience, but possibly maybe a bit of lack of boxing fundamentals as well could have been why he was protected in those early days.
Yeah. Well, I think he's been protected all the way up to Luis Ortiz.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Taking on, well, at the time when he took on Gerald Washington, he was unbeaten. So I don't know if that one was a protected fight. I know we can look at him with the eye test and say, yeah, Deontay was probably going to beat him hands down from when the fight was announced. Who else was there? Spilka, that was a hand-picked opponent. Who else was before Ortiz?
Spilka,
Johan Duapa.
Duapas.
At the time, Duapa wasn't that shot, but
he's still a cruiserweight though.
Duapa.
No, sorry, he's the 6'10" guy, 6'5" guy. No, my bad. I was thinking of Adamek. Maybe I'm thinking of Adamek.
Yes, Thomas Adamek.
Yeah.
Did Wilder fight him?
Yeah, pretty sure he did.
No, those guys never fought.
Thomas Adamek?
No, Wilder hasn't fought Adamek.
Oh,
no, I didn't think so either.
My bad. Should have used Boxrec.
Spilka was close to a cruiserweight. There was someone else that you've put into my head now. I can't think of.
I can't think of him either. Yeah. So I think I need to go into his record. I mean, whose record am I in now? Yeah. So what was the question? I think that goes out to the fight doctor as well. What was the question? Was he? Oh, yeah, fight doctor. Was Deontay Wilder protected? Was he a protected fighter, protected boxer, protected champion?
I can't say that he was protected in recent years. No.
Carefully guided. Sorry, has he been carefully guided?
Recently, no. Now, if you want to say early in his career,
up to Luis Ortiz.
No. Well,
okay.
I take that back. Up until the Ortiz fight, maybe you can make the argument, but since then, I would not categorize Wilder as having been protected. No.
No, carefully guided.
Since Ortiz, no.
No. Up to Ortiz.
Yeah, sure. You can say that. Sure.
Okay. Deontay Wilder. I'm just looking through Bronze Brahma. Should share it with you. Hold on, there's too much crap on the screen. Good Lord. Tyson Fury, last fight. Tyson Fury, Luis Ortiz, Dominic Breezel. Okay. Tyson Fury, Luis Ortiz. So his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fights. Of his last 6 fights, where's Luis Ortiz? 2 of them have been rematches, and 3 of those have been the trilogy fights. So 2 rematches, 3 trilogies, the trilogy, and Dominic Breezel. So he's fought 1, 2, 3 people in his last 6 fights. 3 people in his last 6 fights. Okay, John Daly has returned. Has Deontay Wilder, up until Luis Ortiz, been a carefully managed fighter in terms of the people he actually stood in the ring with.
Yes.
Hmm.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
I can only think of one other fighter since the Second World War that's been as heavily protected as he has.
And he goes by the name of...
I can't believe it. I'm blanking for it, but it's the guy Sonny Liston beat to win his title, who had a trilogy.
Floyd Patterson.
And
Yeah.
he had a trilogy with Bobo Johansson, didn't he?
Yes.
And they tied up the heavyweight division in exactly the same way that this pair have.
Oh Lord. Okay, so that's the story of Deontay Wilder's role in this slobber knocker. Great fight, great exciting, great entertainment. One of the few 12 rounders I could actually watch again. I hate watching 12 rounders again, generally. But for excitement levels,
it was only 11, Rafi.
Well, that answers the question then. It wasn't a 12 rounder. That's why I find it easy to watch it again. So we have to take our hats off for the entertainment value. How good was each man? Tyson Fury is now being proclaimed the king. My position on that is you can't be a king. Big Boys Boxing's got to run. Much appreciation. Thank you to the Big Boys Boxing. Feel free to check him out. He's got his own shizzle going on. Much appreciation goes out to Big Boys Boxing. Thank you. Okay. So, can everybody hear me okay? Everybody hear me okay? Can everybody hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. Okay. So, what was I just saying? Okay, so Tyson Fury is now being proclaimed the king. He's being proclaimed the king, but I've got one little problem with that. You can't be a king. You can't be the king of the division until you've wiped out the opposition. The fight doctor.
So we've gone over this before. Now, Tyson Fury is the champion at heavyweight. Period. End of. Those paper titles that are floating around on your side of the pond have no significance whatsoever because the person who holds those paper titles beat someone who never beat the best heavyweight in the world. So while, those guys can, have a top 5 ranking, they cannot be the champion. There is only one champion. His name is Tyson Fury. That's all there is to it. And in order to be the man, you have to beat the man. Right now, the man is named Tyson Fury. And when Alexander Usyk, the winner of his fight with Joshua, when those guys fight, whoever comes out of that alive has to beat Tyson Fury in order to be recognized as the man. Until that time, Tyson Fury is the man.
Who is the king? Is he the king? Is he the king? Is he the king?
Tyson Fury is the champion, the king, the man, numero uno, head honcho, the HNIC, however you want to put it. Okay, that's who Tyson Fury is.
Okay, so my take on this is before you get proclaimed the king in any division of boxing, you got to wipe out the opposition. And no one has done that yet. Anthony Joshua hasn't done it. Alexander Usyk hasn't wiped out all the top opposition. Deontay Wilder certainly never did it. And Tyson Fury has not done it either. And until somebody wipes out the top guys, there ain't no king in the heavyweight division right about now. That's my opinion. John D. Lee.
Well, I don't think we've got time to go over a lineal debate.
No.
But my position is Vladimir was never the man in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
There's always been an alternative claimant to the title, and certainly being Ruslan Chagayev or Abramovich, I can't say his name. The other person when his
Ruslan Chagayev.
But there's two, because there's not even a consensus as to when he became lineal.
Abramovich, yeah, you might be right with Abramovich.
No, there isn't a right, because there's about 5 or 6 different people that administer the lineal title, and they don't agree amongst themselves. They don't agree what you do when a lineal champion retires.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I'm concerned, we haven't had a lineal champion since Lennox Lewis retired, and that's the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody has done enough to start a new lineage, and that still hasn't happened. So as far as I'm concerned, we don't have a clear-cut best heavyweight. We've got a guy who's fought 1 titleist in the last 5 years and 4 bums. That's what he's done. That's the reality.
So I have a question for Mr. Dealey. When Vladimir Klitschko entered the ring to fight Tyson Fury, was he or was he not the #1 heavyweight in the world?
Was he the undisputed champion? Was there?
That was no, sir. That's not the question. That's not the question. Please do not put words in my mouth.
Okay, all right.
The question. Let me repeat the question so I can be clear.
Yes, he was. But let me ask you a question in return.
Yes, sir.
Who was the #2 heavyweight at the time? Because it wasn't Tyson Fury. So that
at the time, the #2 heavyweight in the world.
New lineage.
So the guy behind.
Criteria
I think the guy behind.
There's a proliferation of lineal championships. There isn't one administrator of this.
Well, sir, you asked me a question. I'm trying to answer the question.
No, but you're interrupted. Oh, go on then.
But you asked me a question.
Go on, answer it then.
So the guy behind Vlad at the time of the Fury fight might have been Stavern. I don't recall. I would have to go back and look.
Wilder had the WBC title at the time.
Then it possibly could have been Deontay Wilder.
I think, according to most rankings, it would have been.
All right, so then we agree there.
Yeah.
And that means what?
But see, now you just shot yourself in the foot because really. Tyson Fury beat both of those guys. So I don't understand what the problem is. Okay. So what are you talking about?
Here's the problem, right? As far as I'm concerned, if you want to have an established, undisputed, no questions asked, this is the #1 heavyweight in the world, you need to beat not just one person to get that title. When Mike Tyson became undisputed champion of the world, he cleaned out the division. Lennox beat everybody available to him to fight.
Okay, but see now,
Tyson Fury has cherry-picked and fiddled his way around and avoided many people. When we talk about greats, talk about Ali. Who did Ali avoid?
Nobody.
Right, okay. So we've got John Fury coming out today saying that they're not going to fight his mandatory Dillian Whyte. We've already got that narrative. So
well, listen.
No, this is not a man that.
Wait, hold on a second. No, wait a minute. No, wait, hold on a second. Hold on. This is hypocrisy on the highest level. Now, I need to unpack all of that nonsense. And John, I do respect you.
What's hypocrisy?
If
I may finish, please.
No.
But I'm about to explain.
Hold on a second.
But once you have, I hope you can let me go on uninterrupted in my rebuttal.
John, please finish.
Are you rebutting?
Well, I will be once he gets his sentence out. Yeah.
All right. So here's the problem, right? Here's the problem. #1.
Can I tell you something? I don't know where we are. I don't know.
Rafi, you never know where we are. All you know is where your bell is.
I don't know what we're talking about because it gets convoluted. So what I want to do is I want to get back to the key point. So if you could tell me, the Fight Doctor, what is the key point being debated here?
The key point that's being debated here is who is the #1 heavyweight in the world, who is the rightful champion. Now, he seems to think that it's not Tyson Fury because he hasn't beaten the top guys. But in fact, we just talked about who were the #1 and #2 heavyweights in the world when Vladimir Klitschko walked into the ring to fight Tyson Fury. Now, John says, not me, but John says that number 1 and number 2 in the world at the time of the first bell for Klitschko Fury was Klitschko and Wilder. Well, Fury has beaten both of those guys. So it seems to me that if you beat the guy who's the number 1 heavyweight in the world,
come on. No, you're playing semantics now. No semantics.
How is that playing semantics?
It's semantics because you know full well that what we're referring to is number 1 and number 2 at a specific point in time.
Okay, so now here's my question.
Now what you've done. Hold on.
See, now, this is again hypocrisy at the highest level.
What you've done is you've taken a number 1 from 2015, and then you've taken a number 2 from who Deontay Wilder wasn't number 2 at the time, was he?
Yeah.
How? So here's my question. This is ridiculous. I'm sorry, but this whole line of reasoning is ridiculous. Okay.
Right, okay.
Now, if Deontay Wilder with a number 2 heavyweight,
one sentence.
You go fight though. We got to bring this to an end. So you go, then John goes, and then that's it. So you go first.
Okay, this is nonsense at the highest level. If in fact Deontay Wilder was the number 2 heavyweight in the world when Vladimir Klitschko and Tyson Fury fought, and Deontay Wilder remained undefeated until the time of the Fury rematch, how in the hell does he lose his position as the number 2 heavyweight in the world when he was unbeaten? That doesn't make sense to me. If Fury beats the number 1 guy, he becomes the number 1 guy, and then now Wilder is the number 2 guy behind the number 1 guy. The number 1 guy and the number 2 guy fight. That means Fury is the man, period. How do you
hold on a second? Hold on a second. Are you saying to me that before this fight you had Deontay Wilder ranked at number 2?
No, that's what John says.
No, are you saying that?
John says that Deontay Wilder was in 2015. Deontay Wilder was the number 2 heavyweight in the world. That's what John said. That's not what I said. That's what he said.
Hold on a minute, fight doctor. Did Tyson Fury fight Deontay Wilder in 2016?
What does that have to do with the price of tea in China or the topic of what we're talking about?
Right? Calm down. Go and have some primrose oil. Yeah, relax the hormones a little bit. This is the concept that I think you struggle with constantly. We don't have a clear-cut champion. That's my position.
Nonsense.
Well, you can disagree with it because this is opinion-based. Until we have an undisputed champion, there's a dispute as to who the heavyweight champion of the world is.
The dispute is only amongst...
We have been in that situation since Lennox Lewis retired. That is my position. If you want to disagree with that, that's fine. But it's perfectly logical and completely consistent.
Okay.
Lennox Lewis was not the IBF champion when he retired.
So hold on.
So there was a dispute. Using your own definition, there was a dispute.
Okay, but
so using your own definition, Lennox Lewis was not the heavyweight champion of the world.
Well, if most certainly was, in my view. But anyway,
he wasn't the IBF champion. When he retired,
he dropped the belt. Okay.
Okay, but now see how you love to misconstrue the facts and twist them and turn them and use them when they're convenient. See, this is one of those inconvenient facts.
Oh, okay.
Because in fact, Lennox Lewis was not the undisputed champion when he retired, but you still want to regard him as having been the champion. But now we have the same situation.
Okay, so I'll put it into basic terms for you to understand. Yeah.
I want to move on from this real quick.
All right, well, I'm happy to move on from it, Raf, because I think he just needs to have a little relax, take a bit of primrose oil, understand that we don't have to agree. It's perfectly acceptable to have different points of view, but there's absolutely no need to get emotional and start insulting people. I haven't insulted the fight doctor once.
Yeah, no, let's not insult people. Let's be relaxed. Let's soak those. Let's soak those mushrooms, fight doctor. Let's soak those mushrooms. Come on now. Okay.
Listen, if something is ridiculous and if something is hypocritical, then I'm just going to call it a. So that's not me insulting anyone. It's just me pointing out the facts.
Well, okay? No, it's just your point of view. It's a point of view. It's your point of view, and I understand that you have a point of view and you have a right to a point of view. But I want to stay on topic. We've talked about lineal so many times. I really don't want to do it again today. So if you could just please understand that. Okay, let's move on. Right. So, a great fight. I was talking about the king. Who is the king? Okay, so my position is to find out who the king is. You gotta fight the top guys. And that's not the case yet. So let us move on. Next for Tyson Fury is Dillian White. John Fury, father of Tyson Fury, comes out and says, no, we don't want White. He's not on our level. White's not on our level. We don't want White. We want Alexander Usyk or nothing. Alexander Usyk or nothing. And what do I think about that? I think it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. It's shameful that in Tyson Fury's perhaps his greatest hour, well, his greatest recent hour, we're looking at Duck City. He himself has sounded lukewarm on the prospect of fighting Dillian White. Seems like he don't want it. His father don't want it. Do either of them want it? John D. Lee, your thoughts on what could be some potential ducking coming right up? Duck soup. It's not very fitting.
It's very convenient that when Tyson has a contractual situation where he has to enter a rematch, that's what they do. But now that Usyk is in a similar position, they're using this as an obstacle to fight their mandatory as mandated. And it might not be Dillian. It's the winner of Otto Wallin versus Dillian White. So what Mauricio Sullivan has said is there's 30 days to negotiate an undisputed fight with Usyk, knowing full well that he's obligated to a rematch clause. And that's the whole reason that we didn't get an undisputed fight last year or this year. Pick whichever one you want because it took so long for them to actually do this rematch. Because of a contractual obligation that Tyson Fury had to Deontay Wilder. Now, this doesn't suit Tyson Fury's situation. The WBC have actually said prioritize this for the first time. The WBC has never ever put a situation on a mandatory where the undisputed fight would supersede it. It's the first time they've done that. Maybe it's because it's a way to prevent Dillian from having his opportunity, or Otto Wallin, whichever one that, whatever it is. Fact is, it looks like a straight duck of the winner, because if it's not Dillian and Otto wins, the person who gave Tyson Fury his hardest fight since he's come out of his retirement is Otto Wallin. I don't think he wants to fight either.
Oh dear. Don't even want to fight Otto Wallin, much less Dillian White, the fight doctor.
So I think we need to put things in their proper perspective. Listen, the question is, who has earned a shot at the top dog in the division? Who has the most merit? And in my mind, the guy who has the most merit right now is Alexander Usyk. I'm sorry, but he just does. And if the question is, has Dillian White earned a shot at the guy more so than everyone else in the division? No, he is not. Getting knocked out by a 49-year-old heavyweight does not earn you a shot at the number one heavyweight in the world. I'm sorry, but it just doesn't. Okay.
Is he not the mandatory? Is he not the mandatory?
The WBC can mandate corn muffins for all I care.
Is he not the WBC interim champion?
What the WBC has to say means less than nothing. Who is the WBC, and why do they get to mandate who the number one heavyweight in the world gets to fight? They don't.
Fight doctor, did you win any bets on this channel in the last 12 months?
Yes.
And what was the basis of that bet?
The basis of that bet was who would Tyson Fury fight in his next fight.
Yeah.
The basis was
what was
Tyson
the
Fury. Tyson
behind
Fury
that.
having to meet his contractual obligation.
So why is that not the correct thing for Alexander Usyk to do in this situation?
It is. But that was not the question. That was not the question. So now, I'm not saying that Usyk should ignore his contractual obligation. What I'm saying is, if that fight can be made next, I would like to see it. Now, prior to the Fury Wilder rubber match, I did not want to listen. I didn't want to see this fight. I wanted to see Fury and Joshua, but unfortunately, legal contracts got in the way. The fight could not be made. We got what we got last Saturday. So if Fury Usyk can be made next, that's the fight the heavyweight division needs. All right. Any real boxing fan wants to see. I'm sorry. Any real boxing fan, that's the fight they want to see. So now we can have clarity in the heavyweight division. No more of this nonsense coming from the Anthony Joshua cheerleading contingent.
Any real boxing fan, that's the fight they want to see. They want to see. Well, listen, the reality is that Joshua's fighting Usyk next, and Tyson Fury has a mandatory that he needs to honor in the form of Dillian White. Lady Shan up in the building. So that's the lay of the land right there. That's the guy he needs to fight. That's the mandated guy. He needs to fight Dillian White.
It's the talk of not meeting your mandatory obligations.
Disgraceful.
Yeah. It's like, okay, I agree with the fight doctor in that the heavyweight division needs an undisputed champion.
Yep.
If that fight could be made, great. But I'd be very surprised if that's the situation that we have. So is the fight doctor proposing that we return to the times of John L. Sullivan, when the heavyweight champion used to fight once every 2 years when he felt like it, when he was in between drinking binges? Because that's the type of heavyweight he's supporting at the moment anyway.
Well, I mean, that's his prerogative. That's what he wants to do. Who are we to tell him what he can and can't do?
Who are we to tell him? Who are we to tell him what he can and can't do? Well, I tell you what, we're the consumer, mate. We are the consumer. We are the boxing fans, the boxing public who pay hard-earned money to be entertained, and we don't pay for some guy to swan around and pick and choose and be in the bars in between fights for years.
All right, so then I have a question. So then I have a question for you.
Go
I
ahead.
have a question.
Go ahead.
Were you the one putting in the road work? Were you the one putting in the road work?
Deontay Wilder doesn't do road work.
I'm not talking about Deontay Wilder. We're talking about Tyson Fury.
Okay,
So,
okay.
Were you the one putting in the road work?
No.
Were you the one putting in the long, hard sparring sessions? Is that you?
No.
Were you the one taking the punches?
Fight doctor.
Were you the one denying yourself the benefit of your family for a long, hard training camp? Was that you?
No.
All right. So then, who are you to tell him who he can and can't fight?
Well, if you don't want to fight, all he does is relinquish the belt. Relinquish the belt and let the people who want to fight. But if you're going to take 2 years off, no, relinquish the belt. Fight your mandatories. Dillian White is the mandatory. Fight your mandatory.
Fight doctor. If you were just in a position where you could pick and choose who you were fighting, and you're okay with that, was it okay for Jim Jeffries to behave in the way that he behaved and how he defended his title?
Listen,
well,
Tyson Fury.
Really what
I'm answering your question. Tyson Fury can pick and choose whoever he wants to pick and choose. Now, having said that, I'm definitely going to critique who he chooses to fight. But now, I'm not going to deny the man his right to listen. As a champion, it is his right to defend the title against whomever he sees fit. That's his right as a champion. But now, me as the fan, it's my right to make up my mind if I think it's legit or not. It's my right to criticize the champion for his choice of opponents. Now, if he chooses to fight a tomato can like Anthony Joshua chooses to do, then I'm going to make light of the fact that the guy chooses to fight tomato cans. But now, up until this point, he's been fighting good opposition. In the case of Deontay Wilder, very good opposition. given the current climate. All right, so that hasn't been the case, but we'll see what happens in his next fight.
So, do you not watch any other sports besides boxing?
What other sport is there besides boxing?
Well,
There
if
is no
that's
other
the only
sport.
sport you
There's
watch,
boxing and that's it.
fine.
There
Okay.
is no other sport.
All right. If that's your opinion.
Okay. All right. So where are we now? What aspect of this story do we go into? Okay. So Dillian White's next. Alexander Usyk, Anthony Joshua rematch. March, April of next year. So there's ample time now. Let's look at the time schedule for Tyson Fury. Let's plan out his little schedule. Let's plan out his schedule. Okay, let me just see if I can catch this. It's real close. Let's have a look if we can have a little. Oh, I didn't mean to laugh. I did not mean.
I did.
I didn't mean to laugh. It's just the way he swung around his leg. I really didn't mean to laugh. Okay. So, what's next? Dillian White. Oh, we're planning out Tyson Fury's schedule for him now. We're planning out his schedule. Okay, so he's just fought. We're in October. Does he need a couple of months? He needs a couple of months to clear his mind. October, November, up to December. He can have Christmas. He can have Christmas dinner and all the trimmings. Okay, and then come the new year, the 1st of January, he's back in training camp. That's January, February, March, April. Yeah, 3-month training camp. And it takes him right up into April. They like to fight around the time when Anthony Joshua's fighting, just a little bit before or a little bit after, so they can get caught up in the free advertising, get caught up in the maelstrom. Okay, so perfect timing. That's how I see it. 2 months off. Well, not exactly off, but a month off, and then back into low-key training, just very low-key training in December. Have your Christmas dinner. Back into training camp for Dillian White in April. That's how I see it. Over to you, John D. Lee.
Well, everybody's schedule's pretty much in line, isn't it?
Yeah.
Dillian and Otto are fighting it in a couple of weeks' time. Is it 3 or 4 weeks' time?
Yeah.
We're talking about March and April for Usyk versus Joshua.
Yeah.
So it's right on time for Tyson Fury to fight the winner of that fight, the holder of the interim title, a few weeks to a month after Joshua Usyk rematch, and then the winners of all of those matches potentially could actually fight, and we could end up with an undisputed next year. But I mean, sounds a bit optimistic at this stage. I'm not sure we're actually going to see an undisputed.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Fight doctor. How do you like the schedule?
Yeah, so provided that Wallin does not upset the apple cart, it works out.
Yeah.
It works out nicely.
It works out nicely.
But I will say that this is boxing. And as Larry Merchant used to say, boxing is the theater of the unexpected. So while we all can have, our, ideal situation, I think that this can be ideal. I would not be surprised if, there's not a monkey wrench in the works at some point.
There can always be a monkey wrench in the works, but also, I mean, we can't be negative. You have to make plans. You have to make schedules, of course, as monkey wrenches do occur from time to time, but they don't occur every time. So can't be too pessimistic, but we can be pragmatic. Okay, so yeah, great showing. I guess we now get to give our overall view of the fight. We've dissected it. We know that they've been out of the ring for 20 months. So, they weren't exactly going to be in peak condition, super match fit. A little bit of ring rust. Deontay Wilder with the weight. I'm going to step away for a second, but talk to me. First fight, Dr. You go first. Talk to me about how it is that Deontay Wilder can't go more than 3 rounds without getting gassed against Tyson Fury. And then after you've had your say, go to John D. Lee. I'll be back in a second.
So, if I may, let me just address the overall issue with Deontay Wilder, which is this. Deontay Wilder is Deontay Wilder's problem. He really needs to retire because it's a wrap. It's been one, right? It's been a good run, but I think he's hit his ceiling. Unfortunately, his ceiling is named Tyson Fury. I think Fury in his assessment is right that Wilder would beat every other heavyweight in the world but him. And certainly that's what I was thinking Saturday night. But, Wilder refuses to address the core problem, which is the man in the mirror. So I think he needs to retire. It's just that simple. He call it a day. Hopefully he's invested his money. He could go right off in the sunset. He has a problem with. It's frustrating. It's just frustrating as a fight fan, as someone who wanted to see him win. That he can't seem to just come to realization that, there's a reason why things, as a fighter, you do certain things and you don't do certain other things, right? Yeah. There's a reason why the fundamentals exist for a reason. And you should, as a boxer, as a professional prize fighter, you should not look to stray away from the fundamentals, but you should look to master them because they are there for a reason. And when you don't pay homage to the fundamentals, this is what happens. You get knocked out. John, you have anything to add?
Yeah, I'm ready to come in. I'll just wait to finish.
Yeah,
I specifically to Rafi's question about getting gas. All the weight that Deontay Wilder's put on, I think it's been to his detriment in this fight, and I don't understand what purpose it served. Particularly when you look at where he's put the weight onto himself. Like all this weight, I don't see any of it going onto his legs, which I don't understand why he would do that. I'm not really convinced he should have put the weight on in the first place. But if he is going to put the weight on, I would hope that he would put it on with the idea of, well, where am I lacking? What's my biggest weakness? And where will I get the most benefits from added weight? And he's put it on in an area where he's going to get the least benefit to his gas tank. And I doubt it would benefit his ability in the clinches. I doubt it would improve his punch power. Putting mass on his upper body, or the only thing that's going to do is make you gas. I don't really see what else it was going to do for him. Deontay Wilder's power was based on speed. And I think it's an interesting point is since he's put weight on to try and fight Fury, he hasn't been able to really put him away or finish him off. I'd actually argue that the weight he's put on has slowed him down, so it's reduced his punching power. I could be wrong, but 100% would suggest that his gas tank has been hindered by the weight that he's put on, without question.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's had any benefit in any other part of his game. Now, as to the other things that Fight Doctor said, I pretty much agree with, so that's why I haven't really commented on those aspects.
Yeah. Now, the thing here is, it's incredible to me that what should be a world-class athlete is just gasses out like that. Just gasses out like that. It's very, 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 very difficult to comprehend in some respects, and then on the other hand, it's easy to comprehend because Deontay Wilder is a self-professed guy who 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 shuns certain conventional conditioning techniques that are the foundation of boxing: running, road work, skipping, two foundations of boxing. And Deontay Wilder eschewed them, shooed them away, said, no, I'm different, I'm special, I don't need those things. I don't need road work. I don't need skipping. But you can't push away the foundations, my friend. You can't push away the foundations. If you got bad knees, which is what I suspect, if you got bad knees, there are alternatives. There are alternatives that you can use. Nothing quite as good as running. Nothing's going to beat running. Maybe cycling, hill sprints on the cycle. You can. I mean, Nick Diaz, MMA fighter, Nate Diaz, they're big on triathlons and they have cardio for days. But they also do some running, cycling, swimming. They've got cardio for days. If you got bad knees, there's certain other things you can do. But I think that his lack of conditioning over the years, he's got away with it over the years because he was fighting hand-picked opponents who didn't really push him. I had a little bit of time after work, and I scanned through some of Deontay Wilder's previous fights, quite a few of them. And the common, even as a champion, the common theme was that those guys didn't press him. Those guys wasn't pressing him. They were standing back, letting him. They were perfect for his game. Standing back, nice range. They're coming a little bit. Boom, boom. Boom, boom. They all did it. Almost every single one, with a few exceptions. Gerald Washington came forward, gave him problems. When anybody came forward, it gave him problems, but very few did. And so Deontay Wilder was able to escape with very poor cardio up until he met the guy who walked him down. And that was Tyson Fury. And Tyson Fury didn't walk him down in the first fight. So Deontay Wilder's cardio seemed fine. But then in the second fight, as soon as Tyson Fury walks down Deontay Wilder, everything changed. Everything changed. In a blink of an eye, Deontay Wilder going backwards. His cardio don't last. He don't work. Deontay Wilder don't work. Going backwards, his cardio just evaporates. It evaporates. It's like he's not trained for it. It's like really in training, in sparring, you should have had somebody walking him down for every minute of every round. Deontay Wilder should have been going backwards. But when he goes backwards, it's like choo-choo. Yeah. Cardio evaporates like a choo-choo train. The steam from a choo-choo train. The fight doctor.
So what you have to do is you have to find room to grow. And the way you do that is when you come across an obstacle, you take a setback as an opportunity to learn and grow, right? And so Wilder had two setbacks. The first setback was the draw, the first fight. That was a setback because you didn't win. You used to winning, and you got outboxed in the first fight. So there was an opportunity there to learn, to make those necessary adjustments, to see what is it you did wrong, right? And it seems to me that he did a little bit of that after the second fight, which is evidenced by what he was able to do Saturday. But the necessary adjustments, those were never made, because you had a trainer who just basically wanted to tell you what you wanted to hear. You never addressed the core issue, which is your lack of fundamentals. And the fundamentals are there for a reason. Yeah, so, yeah, Deontay Wilder needs to retire, because I don't think that he wants to be brutally honest with himself when he's practicing a sport that demands truth.
Yeah. He got away with it for a long time. John Dealey, he got away with it for a long time.
Well, that's what we talked about earlier. He's been protected the whole time. So someone was talking. There's a super middleweight on the undercard, Puerto Rican guy. I can't remember his name off the top.
Berlanga.
Yeah, about how he's been found out in his 20th fight, and that he's been knocking people out in the first round all the way up till now, and then he's performed badly against somebody that Billy Joe Saunders knocked out. Deontay Wilder's resume is the key to this whole problem. The two fighters that we have that are put forward as good wins, because he's never beaten Tyson Fury, are Bermain Stavern, whose best accolade is beating Chris Arreola, and Luis Ortiz, who beat Brian Jennings. So if you go through the whole thing, he's never actually fought anybody. So he's got into bad habits, bad training habits. He's told us about his bad training habits. He's been open about them. How you look, so physically, he's always looked in good shape.
Superb. Looks superb, apart from the legs.
I'm talking about sort of how much body fat he carries.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He has a horrendous diet. He's put out there what he eats. And he's told us that he doesn't train very hard. So he's fortunate with being blessed with a very high metabolism.
Yeah.
The training that he does do is not like bench pressing isn't going to help a boxer, in my opinion. And I'm somebody who likes weight training a lot, but a lot of exercises that you might do in the gym, if you like weight training, would not be very useful for a boxer. And bench pressing, one of the biggest ones for me, that would be the most useless.
I'm cool with the dumbbells. I think dumbbell presses can help.
The issue that I have is slow presses, you see. Whereas if you're doing things like Olympic lifting, they teach you to generate speed and momentum.
Yeah.
And you can press that overhead, so you can get all the pressing strength you need out of that.
Yeah, I hear that. But on the flip side of that, there are people who need to build up strength in general. And so I do think dumbbell presses could assist them.
But I mean, are they better than doing dips and other explosive things?
No, dips are good. I
Exactly.
recommend it.
And if you really want to improve your strength, get on some rings and dip there, and you'll soon find out.
Oh yeah,
that is. So, and again, that's going to have more. Doing dips on the rings is going to have more carryover to boxing than bench pressing. I've seen Wilder doing horrible technique with not particularly impressive numbers for a man of his size. I'm putting that out there that this is going to mean that Tyson Fury can't push him around in the ring. So I think the whole strength and conditioning team behind him is clueless, or he's running it himself and he's clueless. I don't really understand.
Well, it's clearly not working. Working.
It's totally ineffectual because the man's got legs like twigs.
It's clearly
But Rafi, you know a lot about wrestling. If you're going to talk about not getting pushed back, bench press it's not going to help, is it?
There's so many things. You see, the problem is with I'm going to bring in Ross Clark in a second, but the thing is, there's so many things that even a layman, you could call me a layman if you want to, but there's so many ways that I could fly me over to Alabama and I would have Deontay Wilder flinging Tyson Fury all over the ring with simple leg trips, foot positioning. You can lever people, trip him up, trip Tyson Fury up, swing him around, trip him up, boom, boom, let two left shovel hooks, even though that's not in Deontay Wilder's repertoire, 2 left shovel hooks. And there's so many things. There's so many grappling tools. Listen, what's his name? Chisora is doing a lot of training in an MMA gym. I think it's the London Shoot Fighters. He's picking up techniques from MMA, from punching, from a grappling point of view. The grappling, the actual stand-up grappling. I tip my hat to Derek Chisora for thinking outside of the box. Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, there's so many of them that I look at and I say, boy, if only you could if you had a grappler in your ear. If only you had a grappler in your ear. Judo hip tosses. Not that you're going to toss the man on the floor, but you can use those positions to get yourself out of trouble. These guys it's like they're in the Stone Age. There's so much information out there and they're still reading off scrolls. There's so much that they could do. There's so much that Deontay Wilder, but you know, boxers are boxers and boxing community is very closed in. It's only certain man like Derek Chisora who thinks outside of the box. And you see how he's taken when he should have been going down, his level is actually going up. He's a better fighter now than he was years ago. But anyway, that's my little gripe. In comes the man like the Ross Clark. Thank you for your patience, Ross Clark.
Can you guys hear me? Because I'm on the bridge.
Yeah. We can just about hear you, Ross Clark. Just about, yeah.
I could put on. I'll put on mute until I get off the bridge. You guys go ahead.
Okay, my man. Well, just come on in when you're off the bridge. I think he said he's on the bridge. Okay, come on in when you're off the bridge. Okay. So there's just so much to do, but these guys, top guys, it's kind of prehistoric. When you can't fix your feet. Can't fix his feet. It's ridiculous. Supposed to be a top athlete. People say, "Oh, he's so athletic." Yeah, watch him go backwards and see what happens. Push him backwards and see what happens. Gasses out like a leaky tank. Like a leaky tank. The 18-wheeler did this thing. Okay. So, what other element are we looking at? Okay, hold on a second. I've just seen something saying breaking news. What is this? Breaking news. Deontay Wilder has said he will not retire.
Can you hear
He
now,
will
Ralph?
not. Yeah, man. I can hear you.
Oh, can I respond real quick to the strength and conditioning?
Of course you can. Come on in.
I think.
Yeah.
Dealer was right in terms of the bench pressing. First of all, he had 2 bad spotters. It looked ridiculous. Second of all, if you're going to bench press, in my opinion, you should do real lightweight and high reps for speed, because Deontay Wilder's right hand was coming down like a piston. So you needed that speed. And in terms of legs, it's because of his genetics, the way his body is shaped. That's the way his genetics is. Yes, he's naturally born with skinny legs. So to counter that, he should have been doing a lot of exercises, but not really weights. Some airs, parachute running. He could have did so many different. At 36 years old, we don't know how healthy those knees are, so we just don't know. So I don't know what could have helped other than the only thing they could come up with was upper body strength, and it just they didn't play out right. It didn't play out for him.
It didn't play out at all. No, not at all.
Is Fight Doctor still there?
Yeah, Fight Doctor's here.
I got a question for you, Fight Doctor. How do you know Wilder could beat every heavyweight today if you just said that Wilder should retire because he's done?
So the Wilder that I saw Saturday night looked ferocious. He looked determined. He looked like he would not say no for an answer. He would not take no for an answer. And he took a hellacious beating from a guy 6'9", 280 pounds. So, look, the guy who was in front of Tyson Fury Saturday night would have beaten any other heavyweight in the world. He would have. I'm sorry. That's just what I saw. Okay? He got up off the canvas and put Tyson Fury down twice. So, look, it's not too many guys who are going to get up off the canvas after having been knocked down by a 6'9" guy, get up and then put him on the canvas. So, any other heavyweight in the world would have got beat last night, Saturday night.
So let me ask you a question. Do you think Floyd Patterson could beat Rocky Marciano?
At the time the fight was supposed, so Marciano retired. From what I understand, Marciano retired because he was having back problems. Now, Marciano had been taking some beatings in his career, those last 6 fights.
No, but the question is, do you think he could beat him?
I think
yes
so.
Or no?
He might have been. Look, we'll never know for certain.
Okay. So let me get to my point. The point is they never fought, so we don't know. So you can't say just because of what you saw last night, Wilder and Fury could beat every heavyweight. Because from what I saw, Wilder only won 2 rounds out of 11, possibly 3 rounds out of 11. To me, that doesn't sound like somebody that could beat every single heavyweight.
Well, sir, that's your opinion, and you're welcome to it. I'm of a different opinion. And in my opinion, the guy that we saw Saturday would have beaten every other heavyweight in the world. Now, that's my opinion. Now, I have my opinion, and you have yours. Your opinion does not constitute fact, neither does mine. Right? That's how it works.
No, my opinion.
You just offered your opinion.
Hold on.
So you just offered your opinion.
Hold on, Fight Doctor.
I don't have an opinion. The fact is, they haven't fought everyone to say that they could beat everybody. That is a fact. You're saying an opinion.
Isn't that what I just said? Were you not listening?
No.
Were you not listening? Okay, so that is that right. So that is
doesn't hold any merit.
An opinion does not need facts, sir. An opinion does not need facts. That is why it is an opinion. It is subjective.
Okay, Fight Doctor. Ross Clark, your response.
Yes, you are coming up with an opinion, but you don't have any proof. So you can't say he could beat Usyk. You can't say Wilder could beat AJ. You can't say Wilder could beat White. You can't say Wilder could beat Povetkin because he hasn't fought those guys.
True.
Sir, I can say those things because that is my opinion.
You have to prove it.
No, an opinion does not require proof.
Okay, so
you should open up a Webster's dictionary and look up the word opinion.
Okay.
And then look up the word objective. Right?
Okay. In everybody's opinion, Mike Tyson was going to beat Buster Douglas, and look how that turned out.
Have you talked to everyone? But did you take everyone? Did you talk to everyone and ask their opinion?
And did you talk to everyone?
Did you? No, I'm not offering everyone's opinion. I'm offering. See, that's between you and you and me. I'm offering my opinion. You're offering everyone's opinion, right? Did you talk to everyone? And did they tell you that Mike Tyson was going to beat Buster Douglas?
Okay.
Did you talk to everyone?
And he's done.
But did you talk to everyone?
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Fight Doctor, once you've asked the question, you then be quiet to allow the person to answer the question. But I'm going to answer the question for you because obviously we're talking about a general statement. We're not talking about obviously Ross Clark didn't go around the world and speak to every person over the age of 18 to get their view. He's talking in generalities. It was the general thought, the general consensus. But he makes an excellent point and we need to go around the table on this one. And as a matter of fact, we need to do a poll on this one. We need to do a poll. We haven't done a poll yet. And the question of the poll is, and we're going to go around the table to get opinions. Does Deontay, does Wilder beat every other heavyweight? Heavyweight, question mark. Yes or no? Ask the community. It'll take around 10 seconds to come up, and then you can put your vote in. But first, we're going to go around the table. I'll go first. Let's see. Okay, I'll go first. Okay, so does Deontay Wilder beat everyone, all the other heavyweights? Fight Doctor asserts his opinion is that based on his performance, what he saw out of Deontay Wilder, he beats everyone, every other heavyweight. Okay, so I'll go first. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's quite outrageous. It's quite outrageous. There's no way in hell. What we saw was a man who didn't even have enough cardio to get him through 4 rounds without puffing like a choo-choo train. Choo-choo! No, it's puffing like a choo-choo train. I'm not going to mention any names, but no, we know who the names are. He don't. On that performance, he gets viciously knocked out. On that performance, he gets viciously knocked out by Joshua. Gets viciously knocked out by Joshua. Alexander Usyk, how does that go? I always thought Deontay Wilder would have a good chance of the right down the pipe on Alexander Usyk. But really and truly, watching this fight, he was flailing around so much. There's actually a clip. During this fight, and I wish I'd have screen saved it. Maybe I will at some point, because I will be watching this fight again, where Deontay Wilder has Tyson Fury right in front of him, and he swings around 10 hooks upstairs, downstairs, everywhere, and I think only 3 lands, and the percentage is so poor. If you come forward on Deontay Wilder, he's all at sea. It's actually quite terrible. It's sad to watch. It's sad to watch sometimes how uncoordinated he is when you come forward, when you come towards him. It's sad. So Deontay Wilder, no, hell no. He gets badly beaten by the other guys, including Dillian White. That's my opinion. John D. Lee.
Well, this is a man who went 12 rounds. And I'm talking about Tyson Fury here.
Yeah.
This is a man that went 12 rounds with Walter Wallin and was very lucky the fight wasn't stopped on cuts. Incredibly lucky.
Very.
Because the cut was created by a punch. Since he's come out of retirement, the only person of note that he's actually fought is Deontay Wilder. So this is like a self-fulfilling argument. These guys haven't fought anybody other than themselves. We've got no measure of how good either of them are. We have like all this nonsense about Deontay Wilder's power. Let's just have it correct. The people that he's knocked out are the same caliber of people that Dillian White was knocking out in his run to fight Joshua for the British title. That caliber of people. Dillian White has knocked out better people than
he's got a better resume than.
He's also knocked out a higher caliber of fighter, Rafi, which is an important point because we're talking about this power. Oh, that would have knocked out any other heavyweight in the world. Well, he couldn't knock out Bermain Stavern with his right hand.
I watched
every time he fights a top 10 heavyweight, and it's arguable that Tyson Fury hasn't done anything apart from fighting Deontay Wilder to be a top 10 heavyweight in the last 5 years. He doesn't knock him out.
Yeah.
So why are we supposed to believe in this power? It's like smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
And it's the same with Tyson Fury. It's like, well, how good is Wilder? We've got no idea how good either of them are.
We've got no idea. We've got no idea. We've got no
We're
buts.
in the dark.
But
So
the brain.
apart from playing Tig with Vlad once, that's our best understanding of how good Tyson Fury is. So he's one of the best proponents of tickle butt at that time. But Tyson Fury doesn't have devastating power.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
He showed that against Otto Wallin.
Tyson Fury doesn't have devastating power, but he keeps on dropping Deontay Wilder to the ground.
Exactly, because when Wallin had Fury in all sorts of trouble and he started marching forward and trying to get the job finished off, he couldn't do it. He could not knock out Wallin.
Couldn't do it.
And where's Wallin ranked now on the back of, like, where is he? He's not a highly ranked opponent. People are talking about this being a soft touch for Dillian Whyte. And Otto Wallin's a feather-fisted puncher. I mean, look at he went 12 rounds with Brazil. he's got like, and we're talking about someone who got knocked down by Izu Ugono. Like, Brazil doesn't have this brilliant chin. He's been put down by Izu Ugono.
Yeah.
So all of these wild claims on the back of this fight are just complete fantasy land. The narratives created by a completely US-centric universe where they think that the only heavyweight championship fights happen there. I mean, otherwise, you've got two people that haven't fought anybody in the last 5 years, who just keep fighting each other to say they're the best. It's exactly the same situation as Patterson versus Johansson.
Terrible. Well, hopefully that's come to an end now. Hopefully a line has been drawn.
And certainly my time on the show has come to an end, Rafi. I've got an early morning, so thanks for having me.
John Daly, much appreciated. Thanks for coming on. That was the John D. Lee. Much appreciated. Okay, we got Ras on the line. Ras.
It's a straight up no for me. You know, I don't care about someone taking a beating. Okay, he won like maybe the first 2 rounds, and then he knocked down Fury. Then after that, you take a complete beating. Okay, you're getting your ass whooped the whole fight. You're looking clumsy. You're gassing. You're getting beat up. You're getting dropped. You're throwing telegraph left hooks, and then letting a guy 6'9" slip it and then counter you and then drop you. Does not tell me that you could automatically beat everyone. Saying that, he was so determined getting his ass whooped in there that he could beat every single heavyweight sounds silly. I mean, it's
crazy.
Impossible to think that. It's impossible. But again, if that's someone's opinion and they want to make Wilder be bigger than what he is by saying that Fury is so great and saying that Wilder himself is great, by all means, continue to do that. It's all good with me. But what we do know is a fact is Wilder has not fought all these guys, for one, and may not ever fight these guys. And number two, we know for a fact that Fury stopped Wilder 2 times in a row in devastating fashion. Two time.
Let's go to the poll. Where's the music, man? Let's go to the poll. Where's the poll? There it is. Come on. Everybody who has not voted, please kindly do so if it is at all possible. Okay, so currently, does Wilder beat every other heavyweight? 32% say yes, and 68% say no. That's 1/3 says yes and 2/3 says no. And it makes me happy that so many people say yes, because what that means is that there's a mixed crowd over here. And that's why I like a mixed congregation. people from different denominations. So 33%, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. 1/3 say yeah, 2/3 say no. I think it's crazy. Deontay Wilder has shown terrible punching, terrible, sloppy punching. Missing a man who's standing inches away from him because he's winging. He's not a precision guy. Well, if you're going backwards, he's a precision guy. But coming forwards, hell to the no, no. Hell to the no.
Hey, Rafi, I gotta jump off. I'm gonna run inside to get some groceries. Thanks for having me on. And Wilder can never beat Fury, and he's not able to beat every single heavyweight, and that's just a fact. He should retire. Salute, Ralph. Salute.
Hey, much appreciation. That was the Ross Clark, and we don't see him very often, but it's nice when he takes the time, when he gets the time, to pass through. Okay, so it's me and the fight doctor. Okay, so what's going on here?
He should change his name to the brain clot.
Well, I know. No, I mean it's good. It's good to have
blood clot on the brain.
It's good to have Ross Clark's opinion, your opinion, the John Daly's opinion, and we put them all together, and we get a full spectrum of the boxing public. So that's fantastic. If you stand there like a statue and let him hit you, then yeah, possibly beats everybody. But he can't box eggs. The man can't box. The man can't box, and he's punching when you put him under pressure. Leaves a lot to be desired. But he does have a heavy right hand. If he connects properly, then yeah, you're gonna be in trouble. But the problem is, if you put him under pressure, then he falls apart. But credit with you, he did drop Tyson Fury twice. We can't lie. It's on tape. He did drop Tyson Fury twice. So he can drop people. At the top level, though, he's dropping people and not stopping people. The only top level guy or high level guy that we suspect is high level, but he don't fight no one, so it's hard to tell, is Luis Ortiz. He stopped him twice. Okay. But when it comes to the Fury, nah, gets up every time. But he does have power. Nobody can take that away. That's the one thing you can't take away from Deontay Wilder. He does have power. Okay, so he does hit hard. Is he a goon who does? He does. Okay, so what are we gonna do? Are we gonna talk about the undercard? The Rafi is.
Yeah, we need to talk about the undercard. Yeah,
we need
especially the Sanchez Ajagba fight.
Yeah, let's talk about Sanchez Ajagba. You go. I'll start off. I wanted the Ajagba to win. Ajagba's a knockout guy. Sanchez is not. Although I guess he's probably knocked out his fair share. But Sanchez style doesn't please me. It's a very good style. It's good for his brain because he stays out of the way of punches. Then he bounces off the ropes, leaps in like a catapult, and then gets you with two decently hard shots as well. He does have decently hard shots, and then he jumps out again, and then it's rinse, wash, repeat. It's a good style for him. It will keep his brain healthy, which is very important. So congratulations to him for that. But I really don't like to watch that style. I really don't like to watch that style. But, he beat F.A. Ajagba fair and square. F.A. Ajagba limited in certain areas. Big power, but limited in certain areas. And that was shown by Sanchez, as I suspected it would be. The fight doctor.
So first thing is only idiots and racists make generalizations. Right, so don't make generalizations because you sound like an idiot or a racist. All right.
Who made a generalization?
The brain clot made generalizations earlier.
No. I don't. I can't have anybody talking about anybody else who is on the panel if they're not here. You can only say that if the man's here. Ross Cloud's a friend of the channel, So don't
Well, when he comes back, then I will remind the brain clot not to make.
no, hold on. If he's here, then you can have a discussion with him. But if not, then okay. But anyway, your opinion on the issue of the fight that we're talking about.
Well, Cubans tend to be well-schooled boxers, and Sanchez did not disappoint. It was a beautiful display of boxing. But what I found particularly egregious was the referee's lack of professionalism, and just the way that, listen, he did not call a knockdown. And I think it was Ajagba who caught Sanchez coming in with a left hand.
Something like that. I remember that.
And Sanchez went down. He missed that knockdown. So that's the first thing. But the second thing is that so Sanchez was coming in. I think he caught Ajagba with a left hand. And then Ajagba went down. His knee touched the canvas. And Sanchez followed up with a second left hand while Ajagba was down. So Ajagba gets up. He doesn't give him an 8 count. Okay, that's the first thing. That was clearly a knockdown, and the ref called it a knockdown. He doesn't give him an 8 count, a standing 8, and he doesn't warn Sanchez for hitting the guy while he's down.
Yeah, the problem is that Sanchez, Ajagba didn't have his glove. The glove wasn't down, and the knee might not have been down. I don't know.
But the knee was clearly down, and the referee should have seen that.
Was the knee down? Did you see the knee down?
Yes. They from a particular camera angle, you could clearly see that his knee was down without question. His knee was down. Yes.
Okay. I didn't see the knee down.
But even if he didn't see the knee was down, he called. Listen, he should have seen the knee was down because he called it a knockdown.
Yeah.
So if the guy was down and Sanchez hits the guy while he's down, well, first thing is you're supposed to warn Sanchez for this foul, which is what it was. And then 2, where the hell was the 8 count? What the hell?
Yeah.
This is big time boxing on the biggest stage ever. And this is the co-main event. And this referee is reffing the fight as if he were drunk.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So that was that. So Sanchez emerged the victor. Let's talk about the Polish sausage. Silly sausage. That's an expression we have over here. You silly sausage. Silly person. Silly man. Silly sausage. Kawanaki. Should I call him Dirty Kawanaki? Kawanaki, after getting boxed up, punched up like I expected he would again. After getting boxed up and punched up, he resorted to headbutting. And he resorted to hitting Hellenius in the family jewels area on the blind side of the referee, but indirectly in front of the camera. How idiotic do you have to be to do that? Big boys boxing.
Man, I was swearing at Kalnecki when he started doing that. You could see he was getting frustrated. He was getting beaten up, and he wanted a way out. Up until this fight, I really enjoyed watching Kalnecki fight. But as soon as he started those nut shots, man,
that was ridiculous.
That sucks. So I've got a new, very strong dislike for Adam Kovnarski at the moment.
I thought it was so outrageous. What the hell? What the hell are you doing? You're punching him. Yeah, it's on the blind side of the referee, but the camera's right there. He's clearly, he wanted a way out. He knew he knew everybody be able to see. To me, he wanted a way out. The fight doctor.
So yeah, in my mind, Kalnowski is like our modern day, like this era's Andrew Galata, right? You know, but just less talented.
He's not as good as Galata, I was gonna say.
Yeah, not as good. But in terms of like the mental, he's right there with Galata. Just like it's the lights on but nobody's home, right? And listen, you're not gonna find anyone who enjoys the subtle art of dirty boxing more than me. But don't hit the guy low for the sake of hitting the guy low. You have to have purpose, right, for hitting the guy low. If you're going to cheat, fine, but don't cheat to get out of the fight. Okay, cheat to win the fight, but don't cheat to get disqualified. At some point, if you're hitting the guy low and you keep getting caught, then stop. It's just that simple.
It was an interesting way to get out of a fight. I mean, why not just take a knee? I mean, I've heard that he's fractured orbital. Why not just take a knee? Maybe he's afraid of what Billy Joe Saunders might say. Go out on your back, brother. Go out.
Walk away with a no mas.
Yeah. Stay on your stool. Take a knee. You got a broken orbital bone. I understand. I'm not one of them people who say you should fight through a broken. Should you fight through a broken orbital bone to fight, doctor?
This is my first hearing that he suffered any type of injury, so I wasn't aware. But I mean, I will say this: the ref saved him.
Well, he had a broken orbital bone. I mean, he should have just said, "Yo, my eyes shattered." Should you fight on with a broken orbital bone? Fight big boys boxing?
I don't think so. It can cave your whole face in. It weakens the structure of your skull. If you're winning the fight convincingly, yeah, sure, try and box on the outside, stay away, and try and win the fight on points. But if you're losing the fight and you've got a broken orbital, no muss, man. There's no shame in that.
No shame in that to me. The quicker you quit with the broken orbital bone, the better.
Yeah, it could possibly endanger the rest of your career otherwise. I mean, if you get 2 broken orbitals, the whole front of your face is floating in meat, for God's sake.
Exactly.
It could cave in, push on your brain and kill you, for God's sake. So.
Yeah. You can damage you for life, not just your career, for life. Billy Joe, I'll fight through anything. Snap. Oh, mommy, help. I can't see.
Yeah, it's all fun and dandy until they come across that experience. It's all fine and dandy saying, yeah, I'll fight through anything. But if you haven't been in that experience, you just don't know what you're going to do.
Yeah. Everything. Yeah, exactly. Everything changes when, it happens to you. What's that? I can believe that injury with the mess on his face. Yeah. Billy Elliott danced out of the ring ASAP. ASAP. Okay. It's a smart move to throw the towel with an orbital injury. Lanius is a monstrous dude. Okay, so we're going to go through the rest of the card in a second, but something I just forgot has just come to my mind. What should Deontay Wilder do? What next for Deontay Wilder, the fight doctor?
Retirement.
Yeah, I think the same.
Look, he's not going to do what's necessary in order to win at the highest level. I mean, if you're going to continue fighting, then his goal should be to beat Tyson Fury. But it's painfully apparent to me that he's not going to do what's necessary in order to make that happen. As such, he should retire. Period.
Well, I thought you said he could beat everybody else. So why didn't he beat everybody else and then retire?
What's the point in listen, okay, he could do that, right? But listen, if he goes, knocks out Usyk, knocks out Joshua, knocks out White, well then all of a sudden everyone will forget about what we saw last Saturday and will demand to see another fight with Tyson Fury. But he's not going to do what's necessary in order to win that fight. So retire. Go home to your family nice and safe. Count your money. Retire.
Does that make sense though? If you can beat everybody else in the division, why not just clean up? You could make another mint.
Well, I mean, right now, nobody has cause or reason to fight him. I mean, what do you get out of if you're a heavyweight in the top 5 right now, right? Your focus is either Usyk or Fury because they have all the hardware. Why do I need to fight you?
Well, if you fight Wilder, he's still highly ranked, I guess. I mean, probably 5 now? What would he be? It would be Fury 1, Alexander Usyk 2, Joshua 3, Dillian White 4, and then maybe Deontay Wilder 5. That's how my top 5 looks. How does your top 5 look, Fight Doctor?
So I'm going to agree with your top 5, right? And if I'm in the top 5, right? If I were top 5 heavyweight right now, not Usyk, not named Fury, I don't want to fight Deontay Wilder.
What about if you're 6 to 10? That's a good scalp. Scalp.
So if you're 6 to 10, that will vault you into the top 5, beating Deontay Wilder.
Yeah.
But if I'm Deontay Wilder, why do I want to fight you? Why do I want to fight you? That gets me nothing. I'm already a top 5 heavyweight. I don't need you.
So retire.
Gets a step closer to a mandatory shot if he can beat one of those inside the top 10 guys.
Yeah.
True. I agree. But even still, if I'm the top 5, if I'm in the top 5 right now, I don't want to fight Deontay Wilder. And
there is one person I think wants to fight him because he's avoided title shots before, Dillian White. If that fight was offered, I think he'd take it.
Dillian White,
but he's busy, obviously.
Yeah, I think that would be a bad move for Dillian White before he gets his shot at either Fury or Usyk, or the winner of that fight. If I'm Dillian White, I don't want to fight Deontay Wilder. I'm sorry, but I don't. No, given his recent history, no, hell no.
Yeah, he got some brains though. See, Dillian's done the same sort of thing before, though, isn't he? He bailed out of that purse bid with Pulev to get a title, to get a mandatory spot. And he seems to have this thing about Deontay Wilder, and has done for years. I don't think it matters to White whether he got a belt or not. I think he'd take that fight in a second if he got offered it, but I'd still pick Wilder to win it.
If Dillian White were to fight Deontay Wilder, I would want to see that fight. No question. I'd want to see that fight.
Yeah.
Me too.
I think that would be a very entertaining fight.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Jono, what's your top 5 look like?
It's exactly the same as yours, man.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty consensus at the moment. No, things can change with fights coming up, but as of right now, I agree with that top 5. What was it? Fury, Usyk, Joshua, White, and Wilder.
Yeah. Yes. Salute to the new media today, USA Boxing. Good to have you up in here, Coach Malachi. Good to have you. Okay, so that's the consensus. Top 5 right about now. Okay, so let's continue with the undercard. Okay, so who else was there? Oh yeah, so we talked about. Oh, have you talked about Hellenius, Big Boys Boxing? Have you talked about the?
Oh, not really. No. That fight, I picked Hellenius to win in 4 rounds. Went a little bit light. A lot of people have been writing Hellenius off completely for the last few years, saying he's well past his best and blah blah blah. For me, Hellenius hasn't changed much since I first started watching him about 7 years ago. To be honest, I expected Kaunaki to come forward and try and get Hellenius to punch a lot, which he did, but he was eating too many of them. Just that right hand down the pipe of Hellenius was devastating for the little short fatty. And, I thought if it got past round 6, Hellenius may start capitulating, start pulling backwards with his chin up in the air as he does. And Kaunaki might get the KO later on, but I stuck with my initial thoughts and thought, the power of Hellenius. He's actually a pretty good boxer. He doesn't have the best chin or the best stamina, but he's not a bad boxer, man. And he hits like a freaking truck. So,
listen,
I was impressed with that from Hellenius.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to add something to the point, Big Boys Boxing, that you were making about Hellenius. I think stylistically, he poses a very interesting problem for Usyk to solve.
That's a good point, actually, because he doesn't have a high output. He doesn't throw lots of combinations that Usyk can get in between. It's basically just a 1-2, a hook, a jab, and an uppercut. That's it. So, very interesting if that happened. But I'm looking at the rankings, and I think Hellenius is going to be he will be trying to get that Usyk fight. Whether he has to fight another shot to become full mandatory or not, I don't know. But I see a lot of people seem to think Hellenius is signed to PBC and he'll get a lot of fights through there. He's been working with the PBC, and PBC only had the option on his next fight after he beat Kalnacki. So he's a free agent. He could do anything he wants at the moment.
So what did Fight Doctor say? What did Fight Doctor say? What was the proposition?
So no, I was just adding to what Big Boys Boxing was saying about Hellenius, and I thought he looked good. But I agree with his assessment. It's just that as I'm sitting there watching the fight, I was thinking to myself that Usyk would have a problem with this guy just because of the way he fights. You know, he fights tall. He stays behind his jab. He throws that looping like right hand, and he consistently throws that looping right hand. So I just think the way he fights, he would pose all kinds of problems for Usyk.
He also doesn't let his opponent work inside at all. He always clinches straight away and doesn't let himself get in danger inside. And being the much smaller man, Usyk's going to have to be inside a lot, isn't he?
Yeah. How does Hellenius get to Usyk?
From range. I mean, he's going to miss a lot because of the movement from Usyk.
I mean, in terms of the rankings, how is there some route that I've missed?
Hellenius is the WBA mandatory.
Hellenius is the W. Is he?
Yes.
He's the WBA gold champion. I seen on the broadcast that they said he's the WBA mandatory, but I haven't seen anything from the WBA. It's kind of like with Joe Joyce, Frank Warren saying Joe Joyce is a WBO mandatory, but there's been nothing from the WBO yet. So, I don't know.
Damn, I didn't know about that aspect with Hellenius potentially being the WBA man. I didn't know. That's very interesting. I did not know
Well,
that.
It seems Dubois is going to be the mandatory for Trevor Bryan.
Yeah.
So, there's no interim champion with the WBA anymore. So if Hellenius is mandatory now, is he mandatory to the Super? Who knows?
I don't know. That's news to me. That's something that went under my radar. Okay. Interesting dynamic. Okay, but another aspect. I want to get this all out in one show. Another aspect of this Deontay Wilder thing. The Fight Doctor, who spiked Deontay Wilder's water this time?
So I think that's an interesting question. I think that Mark Breland has been vindicated. So Mark Breland made some comments to the fact that he said that Deontay Wilder is uncoachable. And I think that's true. I think that's the reason why he needs to retire. I think that's the reason why he lost Saturday is I'm sure that there was, at some point, there's been somebody in his camp or in his circle that has told him, like, look, there's some things you need to work on, dude. Look, at the absolute highest level of the game, you have Marco Antonio Barrera and Prince Nassim, right? So for a long time, we saw Prince Nassim get away with breaking the rules of boxing.
Yeah.
And more importantly, we saw him do that and look absolutely spectacular in the process. Unbeatable, right? Now, he had the little hiccup with Kevin Kelly or whatever, right? But at the end of the day, he was laying him out, right?
Yeah.
With either hand. And then here you have Marco Antonio Barrera, who was on the downslide of his career and gave Nassim Hamed a thorough schooling, a beat down. There's only so far you can go when you stray from the fundamentals. At the absolute highest level of the game, you must come to terms with the fact that the fundamentals are there for a reason. And you can get away with having supreme athleticism, Roy Jones. But at some point, all of that goes away, and you have to have something to fall back on. When a guy can take your best shot and get up, then what? What are you gonna do? So yeah, he needs to retire because if I'm sure that listen, you can't come this far along in the sport of professional boxing and achieve what you've achieved and not have somebody in your circle at some point say that, look, dude, your balance is terrible. Look, dude, you need to throw straight punches. Look, dude, bench pressing ain't helping you none. Right? But if you don't listen,
Those
you can lead
dudes
the horse
get
to water,
fired.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They get accused of having spiked your water.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Big boys boxing. Who spiked Deontay Wilder's water this time?
Deontay Wilder. Man, I can't. I don't think there's any legs to stand on with regard to cheating accusations this time around whatsoever.
No legs to stand on. Wilder didn't have any legs to stand on.
Excuse the pun, or maybe not. You know, they tried their best pre-fight in the glove inspection to try and say, look, these approved gloves aren't good enough. It's like, dude, this is the Nevada State Athletic Commission. They've cut through the gloves, they've inspected them, they've approved them, and you're sitting there saying they're not good enough. It's like, what? And they were saying, look, we've got to have D come in and look at these. And the dude says, well, it doesn't matter what Deontay says, these are approved gloves.
Yeah.
It's like, and the guy was saying, well, look over at those X gloves. You can't say anything about those, can you? I was wondering why the dude didn't say, well, the fans have been saying something about those gloves for over a year and a half because they're the same gloves that Tyson wore in the first fight.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So the point that I'm making, of course, is that there doesn't. What's the excuse now? Because last time it was spiked water, and his performance this time, although better, was very reminiscent. He was very reminiscent of the second fight.
My biggest question is, why can't Deontay just say, look, the dude beat me. He was the better man on the night. Leave it at that.
Yeah.
Far out. It's not hard.
Yeah. And why not shake his hand? Why not shake his hand, the fight doctor? Deontay is supposed to be the gentleman's sport. You have a scrap, and then at the end of it, you congratulate the victor.
I think there's just a part of Deontay Wilder that's divorced from reality, unfortunately. You know, I think perhaps maybe there's, who knows? I mean, who knows what was going through his head at that moment? It's probably a lot of frustration, a lot of hurt, a lot of disbelief, you know, a lot of angst. So perhaps he just needs time to come to terms with what happened. And, you know, I would like to think that, you know, after he's had some time to reflect, he will change his tone. And maybe he will, you know, congratulate Tyson Fury, as he should, and apologize for not having been a true sportsman. Yeah.
Big boys boxing. Deontay Wilder refused the handshake of Tyson Fury.
Yeah, I didn't actually see it at the time, but I noticed in the post-fight interview, Tyson talk about it. You know, says he'll pray for Deontay Wilder. Hope God can soften his heart. I thought that was a nice touch at the end there. So, you know, at least Tyson's shown a bit of sportsmanship, and there's a lot of pre-fight antics with accusations and name calling and all the crap that goes with boxing. But generally, when a fight's done, the two men can show some kind of respect for each other, and I really do hope Deontay down the track, like Fight Doctor says, comes to terms with it and be's the bigger man about it, because it's only gonna hurt his profile for not showing any type of sportsmanship to me.
Show a bit of sportsmanship, even if you have to do it through gritted teeth. Like both of you have mentioned, maybe with the passage of time, and with Tyson Fury's prayers. You know, his heart will be softened. His heart will be softened. And Billy Joe Saunders? No, not Billy Joe Saunders. Ben Davidson. Ben Davidson had an interesting take that I noticed today. He said that these two guys, they're like business partners. They're like business partners. They came together and they made generational wealth for each other. They became very wealthy from their business partnership. And I think that's a very interesting way of looking at it, the Fight Doctor.
Yeah, no question. No question. But listen, there's one thing I want to say. One last thing I want to say. One last point I want to make. And this is essentially the reason why I think Deontay Wilder would beat every other heavyweight in the world, not named Tyson Fury. Deontay Wilder showed a ton of heart, right? Let's just never mind the skill factor for a second. To do what he did, to take as much punishment as he took and to refuse to say no, to get up and then get up and then get up again, right? And take more punishment and still come forward, press ahead, throw punches, keep his same grit and determination. I think people need to realize it wasn't an easy night for Tyson Fury, right? Tyson Fury had to approach the gates of hell and actually stick a foot in and feel the heat. Don't get it twisted, right? He did. He was right at the gates of hell. And Deontay Wilder was more than happy to go there with him. Now, how many other heavyweights are prepared to go to that extent? I mean, let's be honest. Had that been Anthony Joshua, Joshua would have got knocked spark out.
Hypotheticals. Sparked out by who?
Let's be honest.
Sparked out by who?
Deontay Wilder.
Oh, Deontay Wilder would have sparked him out.
Deontay Wilder
who gassed out in 3 rounds. The same Deontay Wilder who gassed out in 3 rounds with the spark.
That fight was not over to the 11th round, sir.
The same Deontay Wilder who was choo-chooing like a choo-choo train. Choo-choo.
And please correct me if I'm wrong, but Anthony Joshua is not exactly known for his his prowess at running marathons.
Okay.
Yeah, he isn't known to have the best gas tank.
But
now,
I don't think it's as bad as Deontay Wilder's, for goodness sakes.
Yeah, had that been Anthony Joshua in front of Deontay Wilder instead of Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua would have gotten knocked smooth the spark out.
Yeah, you think so?
Real talk.
You think so? You think
question.
You think Deontay Wilder's a better boxer than Joshua?
I think that where heart and determination is concerned, where focus is concerned, where the willingness to walk and to approach the gates of hell and actually go inside is concerned, Deontay Wilder has Anthony Joshua beat hands down. Right?
I think Deontay Wilder is a lesser version of Vladimir Klitschko, and we saw Joshua solve the riddle to that puzzle. I think Deontay Wilder's far lesser. I think Deontay Wilder's far easier to game plan for. And so that's why I disagree with your assessment. Big boys boxing. What was the question anyway?
Yeah, let me take on to that first. Hold on, mate. I'd put it like this: if it was Anthony Joshua in the 4th round, getting knocked down twice by Deontay Wilder, from there on, I would say yes, AJ's going to get knocked out. But if it's a fight from the very start, I'm not going to make a pick on, because that's a fight I still want to see.
Yeah. And
I think it's interesting. You know, both of them have been stopped. Both of them have been beaten. Wow. And it's just a fight that's been there for so long. Everyone's got their favorite in it. I don't have a favorite in that fight, and it's one I want to see. So, I'm not going to take a pick on that. But like I said, if it was Joshua getting knocked down twice in that round, from there on, I think he'd get sparked.
Yeah. But then it's a different fight, isn't it? It's a new fight. It's an individual fight.
That's right.
We want to see it. I think that Joshua, if he can game plan for Klitschko, he can game plan for Wilder. Wilder's it's easy to game plan for, honestly. Honestly, he's easy to game plan for. As a top level guy, then yeah. I think he can
But
game.
there's also with Wilder, no matter
Mm.
who his opponent is, you pretty much know what he's going to do because
Yeah.
he doesn't have that ability to adapt and change his game plan during a fight. So, you know, or he can start with a new game plan like he did this time, and then once he got hurt, it's revert to type every time. So it's easy to prepare for him.
Yes, I do believe he's easier to prepare for. Okay, let's get back into we're coming close to the hour. Let's finish up with the card. Okay, so Jared Anderson versus the Russian guy. I don't really know what much I can say other than yeah, he took it to him. He took it to him and smacked the living you know what out of the poor Russian guy. Fight doctor, do you see that fight?
So I was actually hosting a fight party, and I was in the process of like getting food and drinks and all that kind of stuff. And by the time that fight started and ended, I was like in the middle of getting foods and drinks, so I didn't get a chance to see it.
Okay, it was a quick one. Big Boys Boxing. Did you catch that one?
Sure did. Vladimir Tereshkin is his name. Had one draw on his record, was unbeaten. Hadn't really fought anybody, but many Eastern Europeans were calling him a knockout specialist. Big dude, 6'7". Decent reach, but he's slow as molasses.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, he wasn't in the best shape I've seen him as well. He's been through a bit of an activity. I thought Tereshkin was going to give Anderson maybe 5 or 6 rounds, but he could not compete with the speed and the jab of Anderson. That jab is so stiff and fast, and you just don't see it coming. Then when he follows it with the right, it's just beautiful to watch. This kid, I'll be surprised if he doesn't become a world champion within 6 years. Even if it's just one bout, he may pick up or something. But this kid has really got some wicked talent, and I really enjoy watching him fight.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Jared Anderson, definitely a talent. I think the best talent coming out of the USA right about now. Prospect, that is. Maestro up in the building. Okay. Vladimir was way more skilled than Wilder. So I'll deal with that point first. Way more skilled than Wilder, yes. So Joshua had the game plan for that. But Wilder has a better chin. Quite possibly. But Joshua would test that chin. Joshua would definitely test that chin. I think he's far more accurate than Wilder. I think Joshua keeping them mitts up and stepping out of range and going into range. That alone. Anthony Joshua stepping out of range and then coming into range. That alone, fight doctor. That alone would gas Deontay Wilder out real fast. And he's harder than Fury. I think Joshua hits harder than Fury. Me personally, I really don't see it. I think Wilder was rusty, plus he had the extra weight. I think Fury, he'd been out of the ring for 19 months too. I think Joshua would give both guys a run for their money. So what else? Berlanga, is that his name? Berlanga, the Puerto Rican guy out of Bronx, Puerto Rico or Brooklyn. Yeah. I think the problem, he's got a bit of a problem. Because, hold on a second, what I see there? He's got a bit of a problem because he was knocking everybody out in the first round. And now that obviously had to stop. You know, they had to start giving him higher level guys. And now he seems to have a little bit of an identity crisis. He's not finishing. He's only had he had 13 fights, 13 first round knockouts, and now he's at the stage where he's fighting high level opponents, but his foundation is the 13 1-round knockouts. So he's only had 13 rounds up until his last couple of fights. So it's a bit of an identity crisis. Now he has to adjust. So I don't think those 13 knockouts really have helped him. They helped get his name out there. They helped his profile. But now it's almost like a bit of a problem. The fight doctor.
If the boxing gods are kind to us, and maybe they will be, we will get to see Joshua and Wilder fight. Just so that the Anthony Joshua Chilean contingent can be finally put to rest.
Laid to rest.
We can put
Ashes
the nail
to
in the
ashes.
coffin.
Ashes to ashes.
Dust to dust.
Damn.
We can put the nail in the coffin. We can read the obituary.
The death knell.
Perform the final rites. Bury the pom-poms.
Oh my gosh. Bury the pom-poms. Oh no. The pom-poms go on top of the pom-poms can go on top of the casket, my friend.
Settle the argument once and for all.
Settle the argument once and for all. That had nothing to do with Berlanga, though, did it?
I didn't see that fight. Again, I was hosting a fight party, so I didn't get a chance to see the undercard fights, unfortunately.
Oh, I get you. The Big Boys Boxing. Did you see the Berlanga fight? Big Boys Boxing. Can you hear me?
I got you now. I had some kind of internet glitch.
Oh, no problem at all. Berlanga, those 13 1-round knockouts, they're not helping him now. I think he's got a bit of an identity crisis.
Yeah, well, I mean, watching the dude, he hits freaking hard, and maybe he's been relying on his power a little much. I'd like to see a bit more of a jab, a bit more volume, a bit more work to the body. There's so much that you can see from him, but he's got so much power. It's hard for him not to fall in love with it.
Yeah.
But he kind of learned a lesson in this one. The old veteran, I can't remember his name, was making him punch for a while, trying to get him to slow down a bit, and landed a really good counter shot and put him on his butt. What was it, in the 8th round?
Yeah.
Gave him a hell of a fright. He still managed to come through and get the decision, but he's got some power. If he gets some really good coaching, I think the big future. But I can see him being another one who's going to fall in love with his power and just go for the kill every time. Yeah.
They've got to slow him down, get him into the boxing. I'm sorry, I can't talk about the Matchroom card because I didn't watch it. I was resting up before the big night. It was a long night. It was a 5 a.m. thing, 6 a.m. thing over here in the UK. And Lisa Bailey says, hopefully the Wilder cheerleading contingent can be put to rest. So, I think the final. Have I missed anything? I think I've got everything pretty much. Hold on a second. Andre Pennant says, I still want to see Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder. Makes sense for boxing. Yeah, I think most people want to see that. What does this say? What is this? AJ should get a free Tyson Fury as trainer for the rematch. Okay, I don't know. Yeah, Berlanga, I don't know if that makes good sense. I'm not sure. Maybe not. Berlanga was against Corsaires. And so, thank you for that, Philip. Yeah, that's the man's name. That's the fellow's name. Okay, so finally, we've got to the end of another good one, another great one. What's the so final? What do you think he's gonna do, big boys? Deontay Wilder. What do you think he's gonna do? Is he gonna fight on or retire? Well, they say he's gonna fight on.
I think he'll take 8 months to a year to recover, get himself back together, and then we're going to see Andy Ruiz as his next opponent.
Okay. And Tyson Fury, big boys boxing. Tyson Fury. Sounds coming from him that he's not too sure about the Dillian White thing, and there's his father, John Fury, has said, no, we don't want Dillian White. We don't want Dillian White next. Tyson's on another level.
Well, if he wants to remain a champion, he has championship responsibilities. So fight Dillian or give up. You give up that belt, you're going to lose bargaining power. Not necessarily much, because he's still considered the lineal champion, Ring Magazine champ. But without the WBC belt, he doesn't have a chance of becoming undisputed. So fight Dillian White. I think he'll beat the living snot out of Dillian White, get it out the way, and then we can move on.
Get that fight done, get it out the way, and let's get on the road to undisputed by the latter part of 2022. Okay, so the Fight Doctor, we already know your view, but let's have your final words. Final words from the Fight Doctor.
Before the fight, I thought that switching to those Everlast MX gloves was a bad idea, and it turned out it was. He broke a finger, I think, on his right hand. Stupid, but listen. I think that bad decisions are the norm for Team Wilder, which is why I think he should retire. I mean, if you're just going to be stuck on stupid, it's a dangerous game to be stuck on stupid, right? You stop using the MX gloves because you develop hand problems, and what do? The other guy's using an MX glove type of glove, so you want to go back to using the same glove that you develop hand injuries in because the other guy is using that type of glove. It's stupid.
Yeah.
It's dumb. And listen, where brain trust is concerned, Tyson Fury is miles and miles ahead of Deontay Wilder. And here's the sticking part. Being who you are, it wouldn't be particularly difficult to bring some brain trust into your camp. I'm sure that there are lots and lots of people on this side of a pond, of the pond, who would be more than happy to enlighten you. But again, you have to want to be enlightened. There's an old saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Well, the student is clearly not ready. Clearly. So I'll leave you with that, sir.
Okay, and that was the Fight Doctor. Much appreciation goes out to the Fight Doctor. John Fury, and the Big Boys Boxing, and who else? The EJ Boxing Live, and who else? The John Daly, and who else? The Ross Clark. Much appreciation to everybody who took, all of those guys who took the time out of their days to come over and share some time over here at the Raphael Dawkins Combat Radio. Okay, so it's been a crazy time. It was a crazy fight. Highly enjoyable. I might just treat myself by watching it back after the show after I've completed the post-show productions. And let's get those likes. Let's get those likes up. Let's get them up. Everybody who has enjoyed the show but has not smashed that like button, both now and in the future, please kindly do so. Helps the visibility of the show. Okay, so where we at? Yeah, get the likes up. Get those likes up. Great show. Absolutely. Absolutement. No problem at all. Doesn't like the new StreamYard. Yeah. No problem at all. Thank you very much for your participation. Excellent show. Great show. Much respect. So it's the Deontay Wilder. Where does he go from here? Where does he go from here? I don't know, but I don't see him sticking around taking low caliber fights. If he sticks around, I think the only reason, if he sticks around, it should only be to fight the top guys. That's the only point of interest. I got no interest in seeing Deontay Wilder fight low hanging fruit. No interest whatsoever. I don't think anybody else has got any interest either. It's got to be the top guys. It's got to be the top guys. Yeah, everything covered in fine detail. As always, much appreciation. Much appreciation. But I'm getting a feeling there's something I forgot to do. Oh, it's the poll. It's the poll. Okay. 21% feels that Deontay Wilder beats all the other heavyweights, the top guys. 79% feels that he does not. Yeah. So, okay. So that's 20%. Yeah, that's 20%. That's 1 in 5. 1 in 5 feels he beats everybody else. And the other 5 say, get out of here. Get out of here. Yeah. So is there anything left for me to say? Smash that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Mr. Raphael Dawkins. It's the like, it's the subscribe, it's the comments, it's the shares. And it is the hitting that bell icon to stay updated with news and notifications. And don't forget about the live show. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. And don't forget to check out the videos. Drop a couple of them per week. What does Deontay Wilder do next? Jeez, Louise. Personally, I think he should retire because I don't see him making the necessary adjustments. I don't see him getting into serious boxing training. I think he gets into his version of boxing training. And furthermore, I think it's too late. I think that the horse is bolted. I think it's too late for him to start getting back to the fundamentals. He's 36 now. His body is battered and bruised, always getting injured. I think he's got bad knees that he doesn't want to talk about. There's too many negatives, too many negatives. Me, I think I see him getting punched up by a lot of the top guys. So he's got to be careful out there. Needs to be careful out there. Okay. So once again, it's Raphael Dawkins, Combat Radio, and we are out. Blessed.